He is here. We've got Greg Scheimer, who is heading up the Connecticut branch in the Alliance. We're going to say hello to him here. Jen Evans, who's with the studio. Making sure that we are live on air.
And we are shared to all these other sites.
So we're live. All right. Now, do you want to just quickly check through your phone, make sure? Okay. And sound is okay, Jen?
How's the sound?
Maybe I should talk.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen.
We're good.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So, good morning, Ronnie.
Good morning, John.
This is now. I've always, when I first pitched this idea to you, I don't know if you remember, but the idea of doing a show, it was to do a live show, 2 or 3 hour live morning show. We haven't gotten there. Now we're doing it by force because we're out of fundraiser. How do you feel? I got that a bit earlier.
Well, yeah, guess what part of it freaked me out the most?
What's that?
Not the live part, the morning
waking up.
So we're here with a news reporter from Fox 61, and to her, this is normal to be up and about.
She's a very unique name. I'm trying to remember.
I'm gonna have more coffee and then I'll remember it. Because she was really nice, and I think they're probably talking to people. Oh, they're talking to the mayor, right?
They grabbed the mayor. The mayor went there first. You know, they're national. We're local.
Anyway, the news people who start early in the morning are so used to this, whereas I might get up and go for a run at this hour of the day, but I'm not usually conversant or coherent or able to.
Ronnie's the one posting Board of Ed stories at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
After having written them after sitting through a 4-hour Board of Ed meeting. I give her credit. I could not do that. I wouldn't survive.
We'll have a game. See how many cups of coffee I'll drink during this show.
We're number one, and then we're going to count how many pit stops she has to make during the show as well. So we've got a couple things.
A free we hop in to the winner of how many cups of
So
coffee.
put in the comments column how many cups of coffee is Ronnie going to have, and we'll keep your guesses secret. So there'll be no fixing of this contest. But anyway, so why don't we spend a few minutes? We got a lot of stories happening. You just wrote a story last night, so we're on that. We got the Juneteenth celebration this week.
Right. So Juneteenth, the official hours of the celebration are noon to 4, but it actually starts earlier than that at 10 a.m. The First Church West Hartford is having a special service. They have a guest pastor whose first name is Fred. Don't ask me to think of his last name at this hour of the day. I'll have to look back at my story. But he will be preaching at First Church West Hartford on a topic related to Juneteenth, focusing on Lemuel Hayes, who is a very well-known former West Hartford resident, the first Black clergy, I think in New England, definitely in the state. And so that'll be the subject of that conversation at First Church. And then there's a witness stones installation, there's music, there are speeches, there's African drumming and dancing, there's poetry, there are vendors, there's food from the Russell. So it's going to be a really exciting, great, celebratory, inspirational event, and it is in Lubeck Square, so in the square of Lubeck Square on Sunday from 10 if you go to the church service. Otherwise, the rest of the event gets going at noon, and it'll last until 4 o'clock.
And I'm trying to find Tony's last name. Unfortunately, network isn't here, so that's all the time I'm waiting for the story to load. So we will get to Tony's last name later. And I do know Rosemary Tate is going to be doing some of the poetry and talking about some of the things in that.
Right, I know Tammy Exum is one of the speakers, and Tatiana Dahil, and I hope I didn't butcher that name, but she's a rising senior at Conard High School, or will be by this weekend. There's a couple more days of school, and she will be the student speaker. So last year's event was incredible. The first year's event was great. Last year's was even better. I'm sure this year.
It sounds like they've gone exponential here this year.
So if you go to WeHad.com, the lead story on the site right now is a story about Juneteenth, and with some information from Adrian Billings-Smith, who's the organizer of the Juneteenth committee.
And other big stories, just concluding a big story, a hugely successful Celebrate West Hartford.
Right. Celebrate West Hartford was awesome. The weather was perfect both days. We knew it was going to be nice on Saturday. Sunday ended up, thanks to John, who gave us
good weather. I wish I could take credit.
So
Hey, Ronnie, I told everybody to listen. I said, it's a good thing I didn't post the weather that weekend because I would have gotten it wrong. Everybody was thinking rain, and it just went to our South Carolina.
yeah, so it ended up being, we're guessing about 30,000 people over the course of the weekend.
It felt like more. I saw that number and I said, geez, it feels like more.
Well, that's a very rough estimate, but I was with, I'm going to throw him under the bus. I was with Jeff Rose, who is a former West Hartford police captain. He and I were working in an info booth one of the days, and he's actually very good at doing crowd estimates. So that rough number came from him.
So we can blame Jeff for the crowd estimate, for the ultra low, I just wanted to get up and say this was the biggest celebrate West Hartford crowd ever, period. But I just can't do that because I don't know.
It was great to see people, out and about, and because it was outside, people felt comfortable, even if they're still concerned about COVID. And
and the temperatures, normally it's like 90, it's humid. The weather was gorgeous this weekend. I mean, even with the clouds, it helped keep it cool. So it was a lot of fun. I had a funnel cake. Actually, Ronnie, you had some of my funnel cake. I tried to get her to take half of it. She took about a bite of it. But I think it's an amazing event. We're lucky. We live in a great town.
I bought a new necklace here. This is my new necklace from Althea of Newport.
Very nice. Okay. Like Newport, Rhode Island?
Newport, Rhode Island.
Nice.
But she's a vendor that I've gotten to know over the years. She always exhibits and Celebrate West Hartford. So, we're Facebook friends now.
Okay.
We, exchange hugs when we see each other. We haven't seen each other in years. So.
Gotcha. Jen, you want to pick that up? All right. Sit with Ronnie. I think we've got this sorted out. You might have to push the computer back. There we go. Oops, nope. Got to get both of you. Go further if you can.
I'll probably need to get a little closer.
So,
a little closer.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, Jen Evans. Are you the program director? What's your official title?
I'm the executive director.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
All right.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So Jen is not allowed to raise money, but I am. So donate to WHCI. Donate, write a check, be generous, because it's the rules about fundraising are, if I say this respectfully, but they're rather arcane, right? They're very complicated. You can't do direct appeals on WHCI, and yet it's a neighborhood funded television.
That is true. We can't use the channel to fundraise because it's there as an educational resource. It's a channel that belongs to the community, and that's sort of the idea behind it. It's for the community, by the community. It's people come, they make programs, and build connections to each other and to the community.
So one of the things I never realized until probably, Ronnie, maybe 3 years ago, is that anybody who is a resident of West Hartford can be a producer. In other words, you can produce your own TV show. And once I found that out, I could pretty much leave pain in your butt.
No, you've been awesome.
John is producing the show.
He is. He's the producer of the show.
So it's not. I got a credit to my name.
That's
so I've got to put that right on my resume. So exactly. So I've been a celebrity here in the past. I think I like doing this better because Ron and I, we tend to, we chat pretty easily. So we tend to do that. So, all right, talk about, one of my favorite shows. Well, thank you. I walk in the room, I say the talent has arrived, and they all roll their eyes at me. So, tell me, I have a lot of favorite shows on WHC, but one of my favorites is Rocky Holland's Wine Show. Tell us about the Wine Show.
Oh, so, Bobby P. and Rocky Holland, they have the show called Two Guys and a Lot of Wine, where they basically, it's a wine tasting, to help people find good wine. And they do a lot of educational, Rocky and Bobby P, they have a passion for wine, and they have so much knowledge to share, and they do it in a fun way, and I feel like, it's a great show. I mean, that's sort of what WHCTV is. Like, what's your passion?
Right.
Come and share it with the community, and we all get a little wiser, and it's good. It's a good thing.
I give Rocky so much credit because we've had dinner with him on a few occasions socially. He is so knowledgeable on wines.
He is. And I think one of the shows he actually used a sword to, swipe off the bottle open.
Oh,
I don't know what that was called, but it was pretty cool.
The samurai show. Yeah. But I think, Ronnie, the very first time you and I were on TV together was the wine show. Right before COVID, right?
I know we were on the wine show.
Yeah, that was before COVID.
Yeah,
And then
I
our
guess it
first
was
show
before
was
we
right
did
as
this, yeah.
COVID kind of kicked off. But anyway, what are some other interesting shows? What are some shows that kind of grab you?
Oh, I mean, there's so many amazing shows. We have Carolyn Talks TV, which is a show that I love. Carolyn is well, of course, I'm interested in television, and she just delves into every single topic, like topics maybe you wouldn't even think about. You know, like their last show was sequels, like the best sequels, that there are. Like the best and worst of television sequels.
Okay.
Yeah, or like in the last ending episodes, things like that. So that's really a fun show. And I mean, obviously we do all of the Board of Ed and town council meetings and graduations and sports and all of that. And then we also have Pei Champion is actually doing a show where she's teaching people how to speak Chinese.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so it's usually on episode 7 or 8. So if you can actually go and watch on YouTube or on our channel, you can start to learn to speak Chinese.
Okay.
So I mean, I love when people are passionate about something, and we have a great show, Journeys with Jeff, and we just have coming out this month a show with Igor Sikorsky Jr. and talking about his life path, and it was so neat to meet him, and I think that show is really great because it
What's
really
his connection to West Hartford?
He is Jeff Grandy, who's the producer of that show. He does people's life journeys as his topic, and he asked Igor Sikorsky Jr. to come, and he said yes.
Interesting.
So it was really neat.
We do have some, we have some celebrity in this town, some true celebrity. One of my favorites that Ronnie and I talk about, and this weekend really harkened, made me feel like we were in Pawnee. This week, Pawnee, Indiana, which is Parks and Rec. Were you to make it to the Celebrate? Tell us about your observations. What were some
Oh
of
my
your
gosh,
thoughts?
it was so great to be back at Celebrate. We had our booth, we had our green screen up, and kids could come by, or anybody actually doesn't.
Adults?
All people young at heart could come by and get eaten by a T-Rex on our green screen, and we also live streamed a lot of the bands, especially on Saturday. And we had.
I saw the School of Rock was there on Saturday. I thought they were great.
Yeah, they were great. They were great. So we're, the Hall and Conard bands are just
They're so
amazing.
talented.
And every year I feel like they're the and LaTanya Farrell was there on Sunday.
Yeah.
She was, oh my gosh, she was unbelievable.
There was video. Was it the who was dancing? It was the mayor, right? It was
Oh,
Mayor.
yeah.
Mayor and her mom.
And her
Yes.
mom, that's right. And her 94-year-old.
She's almost 94. I think
Isn't that
she's
incredible?
94.
And she's really the woman's awesome. They're both awesome. But,
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, Jen, I mean, Ronnie and I are grateful. We love doing our show, and it's nice that now we're able to occasionally do it back in studio. I mean, these remotes are great. The Speed Live app is great because we can do this and you guys can pick it up. But having the politicians in and stuff, and we're heading into primary season, so we're gonna have some fun over the summer.
It's going to be an interesting election year. And then I would just say that, it's one of the coolest things that we did during the pandemic was, we outfitted our studio with robotic cameras.
Yeah.
So that people could come in and go out and feel like relatively safe, in producing their show. Ooh, I'm getting coffee.
See, and we're being okay. So, folks, we're two cups of coffee for Ronnie because we are keeping score here.
Thank you.
Anyway, so we are at 2 cups of coffee for Ronnie, and we are at no pit stops for Ronnie. So the score is 2-0. So, but if you see Ronnie disappear from the screen, you can be pretty safe with what's happening. So, what can the community do for you? What do you need? What do you I know we're not allowed to overtly fundraise, but what's
because we're on the channel.
Exactly. I know. See, I'll break the rules because I don't. I'm not employed.
I'll say Jen. I will say it for her. Jen needs support because of people dropping cable TV they ordinarily get. And can you tell me how much it is per subscription?
Yeah, so we usually receive about $8 per subscriber right now, roughly around that. per year.
Ooh.
And then every time someone drops cable, we lose that as part of our budget. And I don't have a problem with talking. I mean, that's really like we're down 16,000 from last year to this year. It's really like taking the core out of our budget. And so we really need the community to come out and support what we do while we figure out like what is the new funding mechanism for community access TV. And it basically our community is holding us up right now while we kind of navigate what the future is for community access TV. Oh, I'm sorry.
When is the next? I know you do an annual gala, don't you?
So this year we had our lottery, and we have, and people can send.
I'm still waiting for the phone call to tell me I won that, but I haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, it was email. It was all email.
Okay. I probably went to junk.
We had 5 winners. No, we had 5 amazing winners.
Okay.
Derek, it was Zach Lateef.
Okay, you're gonna try to remember all 5 here?
I think I could get them all.
Okay.
Betsy Perry.
Yeah.
Pat Kazakov.
Okay. Oh, Pat's a contributor. She's a producer.
She's a producer.
Yeah.
She has some great shows.
Oh, yeah, she's
Psychological
terrific.
Insights. I should mention that. And like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I almost have everybody.
Okay, it's all right. Hey, you got Pat Kazakov, so that's important. So anyway, but
Mary Ann Segur from Hall High School.
okay, is she an admin or is she a teacher?
She's the works in the athletic office.
Oh, athletics.
The
Okay.
administrator in the athletic office.
Yeah, Ronnie knows everybody. I know nobody here.
I've
So
worked with her a lot.
so-
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's an awesome person.
awesome. All right. Well, Jen, thank you for coming on.
Oh,
This
you're
is
welcome.
great.
It was
And thank
nice
you
to
for
see
putting
you.
this on. This is a fun. You got a busy day today. You got graduation,
I
right?
know. We're gonna be live with both Hall and Connor.
Oh
We
my
were
God.
live last
Now,
night.
how do you do both Hall and Connor? Are they at the same time, or do they start?
They are at the same time
So
on
what do you-
opposite sides
So
of
who
town.
gets booted to like channel 398?
No. So what we do is, we actually have town council live tonight on channel 5,
Okay.
and then and then we have Connor's going to be on channel 95,
Okay.
and Hall's going to be on channel 96.
Okay.
And then we're going to rerun Hall and Connor 24/7 on 95 and 96
I thought you were
all
going to rerun
weekend
this.
long.
Are you not going to rerun this 24/7?
on 5.
Oh, okay. We're going to be on the main
And
show.
And they're
Ooh.
also on YouTube, right?
They are on YouTube, so
Okay.
people can go and we're going to live stream them on YouTube, so you can share the link with your family, and
And
people
we'll
can
put the
watch
link
from
in
all
our
over.
stories too.
Oh, great. Yeah,
I
that's
think
awesome. And we have a link to the program and everything right in that YouTube.
So let's talk about, I know you're not involved in the schools heavily on broadcasting, but let's talk a little bit about Tom Moore. He amazes me because he will attend the graduation, he will stand up, and he will make the speech extemporaneously. He has no notes, he has no written speech, no teleprompters, and he's brilliant. And he always quotes, is it Bruce Springsteen he always quotes? He always
Yes,
quotes,
Bruce.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
a
he
big
always-
Bruce
I
fan.
work for the Bruce.
Yeah, he always manages to work in a Bruce Springsteen quote. So,
Yes,
but
yeah.
the guy's amazing. I attended graduation in 2020, which was the height of the pandemic, and it was just incredible to see him do that. So, yeah, of course. So I'm getting a note here from one of our producers that we got to get Sherry on. She's over.
Yeah, we gotta make
over
her
the
come
hot seat.
here.
Yeah, actually, Jen, will you corral her?
I
for us?
She looked like she might need to leave.
All right,
Okay,
all right.
thank you.
I wanna
Yeah.
make sure.
All
It's
right.
good. So,
Thank you so much.
Jen, thank you for coming on.
I'll be covering Connor's graduation tonight, and I think I'll probably see you or somebody from your team.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jen, you gotta be like, she's gonna be like 5 places at once today. I'm actually gonna be on an airplane, so I'm gonna be able to hopefully rest, and because just thinking about this is exhausting.
I'd kind of like to be on an airplane and have to turn my phone off, and I wouldn't be getting these pop-ups, or I'm on a group chat, and I keep getting messages.
Well, this is an emergency trip due to a client error. So I found out 2 nights ago I got to fly out west for 2 days. So come and say hello. Come down to see. Claire has her out.
Oh, wait, I think
Oh,
actually
never mind. Oh, I'm so sorry.
we're gonna put Sherry on first because it looks like Sherry might have
We
an.
have 2
I
people
have
walk
to
up.
run children and
Yep.
children
So-
for my board meeting. Oh, should I take my glasses off? Yeah.
Mayor Sherry Cantor. So I usually start with the same question, what's on your mind? But I'm not going to start with that today. I'm going to start with,
Nothing.
how about Celebrate West Hartford?
Oh my gosh, it was perfect.
I'm just gonna
The
put you on.
weather
You don't
was
need to see me right now. So.
the weather was perfect. The energy, so many people. The music was great. It was awesome.
And you danced with your mom.
I did for
And that
hours.
was one of the
And
most
yesterday,
moving
my
things I've
knee,
seen.
I'm like, Mom, how do you feel? She's like, fine. My knee is killing me. She's almost 94.
She's incredible.
She's amazing. When
She's amazing.
I walked by and I saw you two dancing, and it's just
And she
so much
pulls,
fun.
she leads, and if you don't follow her, she pulls you. You know, and I used to dance with my dad all the time, so they would clear a dance floor watching them.
Well, it is, there are certain brands involved with you on a personal note. One is your mom, one is the cartwheel,
Yeah.
and it's something I always enjoy seeing. So let's back up to I want to tell a funny
Park Road
story.
Parade,
The Park Road
cartwheels.
Parade. Not the Park Road Parade. Yeah, we're going to talk about this
okay.
too. We're going to get to this.
All right.
But the Memorial Day Parade.
Yeah.
You showed up, you were wearing a beautiful, I think it was a red dress,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I'm with Rick Ludwig, who is the acting town manager. And we argued over whether you were going to do, well, you were wearing a dress, but I stupidly said, I don't pay attention to things. I said, oh, of course she's in a dress. No, you did your part.
I did.
I'm
I
very
have
impressed.
little,
Yeah,
little
little
shorts,
tennis shorts,
athletic
shorts,
yeah,
or- yeah.
like my shirt, and I put them on.
I've got to pick on him
Go
next
for
time I
it.
see him. I got to pick on
The
him about
key
that.
is that it's like a tighter top, so then you can do the cartwheel. Just the skirt goes.
So you
and
thought
you have
this
your shirt.
through ahead of
Oh,
time.
I planned the outfit. I said to Michael, I wonder how many mayors are planning their outfit around doing cartwheels in their Memorial Day parade.
I would say one, and
Yes,
that would be you.
yes. One. All right, let's.
And in heels too, and I have to have a solid heel, so can't be too high, can't be So anyway.
All right, let's talk about why we're here. Why are you here? The Park Road Parade. Talk about this event. Talk about what's happening with Park Road Parade.
It just feels so good to be here and to be planning for an in-person event that shows the wonderful vibrancy, diversity, commitment of the community. And the Park Road Parade is such I think a signal and a message of all of that. And people go to it. We had an exchange. I don't know if I've ever told you this. We had an exchange student that lived with us from Frankfurt, Germany for a year. And I told her she came in September. And then October, we're getting ready for the parade. And she said, so what's the parade for? And I said, nothing. It's just a parade to celebrate the community. So she goes, oh my gosh, that parade for nothing. It was
Exactly.
just a funny thing. In Germany, they don't have parades for just for. There has to be a purpose for the parade. And there is a purpose. It's to bring the community together. But it was just not signaling necessarily a particular event or holiday. It was, anyway, so.
It's and that's what we're here to remind people. We're at Effie's Diner, and come on down for $20. You get a beautiful breakfast, and you help fund the parade. The parades aren't free.
That's right.
Got to pay for them. So Park Road Parade, we're about 20 years now.
Yeah, it's 20 years.
Yeah.
I think it's more than 20 years.
Well, I think this is the 20th year, maybe with the parade. I'm not sure if,
Oh,
Okay, so that'd be
yeah,
23 years, maybe minus one. Maybe minus one for
Right.
for COVID. Yeah, 1 or 2
Right.
for COVID. So
right.
it's
So
great.
20 plus, yeah.
So you've navigated us through some really tough times. You've come through it better and stronger than ever. The town's come through it better and stronger than ever. We've got a housing shortage. We've got a nice increase in tax rate. And tonight, we have a big meeting. I'm not a member of council, but you have a
It's
very big meeting.
transformational. Yeah.
So it is the Transit-Oriented District TOD.
development, transit-oriented development.
Development. Tell us, why is this so impactful? Why is it transformational? And what is it?
The state has made a huge investment in fixed transit, which is our fast track station. And there is a real benefit to being near transit. And the hope is that there will be, not that far away, a train station. It is on the state plans. And so the benefit of being near a transit is you can walk to places and you can hop on a transit. It's not so far oriented. we have seen around the country, and we see in the history of our country that around, train stations from the 1800s, there was development. That's where people wanted to be. And so we see this as a real opportunity to provide more livable, dense, walkable spaces that are going to have retail that serves the residents that live there, but also at really, really capitalizing on the assets that are in that area in town. We're also investing in significant roadway improvements, which will transform New Park to be a boulevard, have bike, nice bike trails, have the street be much more walkable and friendly, and so I think that whole transformation will really help to appeal to people living there.
So I'm going to try to do this as if we're, really on TV. So, in a concrete way, how will the changes actually impact the areas right near the pacified stations?
So it's requiring less parking, adding more density, adding more, height to the area. So it truly is making this area more intense in a way, adding much more a livable space, which makes it more economical for developers to develop something more realistic. I think that the parking might not, not everybody will have a car. Maybe a couple share a car, or people can live without a car, or even use a car when they just want a car. Like my son does in Boston, when he needs he and his wife share a car. When he needs a car, he rents it. It's a lot cheaper than owning a car. So that's a great option.
And properties that are there right now will be grandfathered.
Absolutely, yeah. So hopefully it will be a complement to the properties that are there. Add more people, add more customers and clients, and really just enhance what is there and build on it and make it sort of the Brooklyn of West Hartford.
I'm going to actually mention my own son now, who's about to move to Boston in a couple of weeks, and he's going to work for a company called HDR, which is a consulting firm in transportation sustainability. So all the conversations that we've had over the years at the dinner table about transit-oriented development have led to his actual career.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I'm looking forward to hearing what he does. And so they in Boston, and they work nationally.
It's actually a national company, but this is the Boston office. That's where the transportation sustainability practice is located.
And the hope is this is truly multimodal, so you can use your bicycle. And now, to be honest, I rented an e-bike for the first time. And those are really incredibly easy to use,
and they're fun.
And it does extend the life. We have very dear friends in their mid-70s, and they get on their e-bikes and they go, rather than bringing their car, in the Mystic area, whatever, where it's harder to navigate. So, why not have that be an opportunity for people here, rather than, we know what gas prices are doing now. We also know what greenhouse gases do to our environment. So all of those things are better. And I think our millennial generation and Gen Z this is probably one of the top concerns, and should be one of their top concerns, is making sure that the environment is that we are bending the curve and correcting our environment, and this is a way for them to live in a very green way. So.
Two personnel challenges facing the town right now. We've got a town manager to replace. We have an acting town manager as I moved to the court. We also have, unfortunately, a superintendent of schools to replace. Obviously, the board of ed is going to carry the load. We're going to have Claire Nazarelle on. We're going to talk to her a little bit about that. But tell us from your perspective, how's that process going? What's going to happen with that process on both fronts?
So the Board of Ed is the one to really detail the process on the superintendent. I think they're doing a national search. This is something that, when Tom had given, I think, some indication and gave the board a good amount of time to let them know. He's done such a great job. I'm so grateful for his 26 years of service.
Tough loss.
It is. It is. My heart breaks because he's not only an incredible leader, but a dear friend.
Yeah.
And so, and Rick has been with the town for a very long time, and we're talking to him about a next step and whether we go to a search or whether he is the guy. So we'll more to follow.
So, all right. Well, we'll stay in touch with that. Now I'll ask you, anything else on your mind? Anything you want to talk about? What's
No, so there's so much going on, and we're a lot of development all throughout town. And there's, and also people are very. I meet people all the time that moved here from Boston or New York or different. Even there was somebody from California I met recently, Texas.
The Hollywood folks, Jane,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember what's his name.
Fernando.
Yeah. I got to meet Jane.
But
when
I
we
met
went
another
to
couple from California recently too, and they're just loving it here.
Yeah.
They're just, the quality of life, the pace. It's as fast as you want it to be, but there's also a lot to do. And I think there's just a welcome, welcome feeling. And June is where we have Juneteenth next weekend, next Sunday, and then we also have Pride Fest on the following Saturday.
New farmers market.
New farmers markets, yes.
Tell us, I don't know about that. Where's the new farmer? I missed the story,
So we
Ronnie.
gotta
I'm
read.
sorry.
We had that.
See, I get caught not reading Ronnie's stories all the time.
You know
Sorry.
what? It's amazing when people step up, when they see something, they're like, we should do this.
Yeah.
They see it in another community, and they're like, this is something that West Hartford would really embrace. And that's what Scott Franklin has done again. He's amazing. And Mary Collins, actually. So they are organizing this farmers market that will be on town hall property.
That's awesome.
And it will be a real bump from, it will be like the farmers markets I think it will come to be. It will grow a little bit.
Coventry, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where there's everything, homemade goods of all different kinds. Yes, there's produce and local farms, which I think people really are in tune with. They want to understand where their food comes from and eat that food, but also with music and just a real gathering place for our community. So excited about that, and we're cutting the baguette, right?
Is that what's happening?
Yes.
What is the date? When is this happening?
This is Sunday at 10:45, I think,
Okay.
or so, around that time. 11?
10.
Oh, 10. Okay, I have to check my calendar.
I might be wrong.
All right. Sunday's a very busy day.
It is.
We have, a lot of things. So I think maybe, I think it's 10.
All right.
Anyway, but
All right. Well,
I'll be there.
I don't know how you keep up with it all. I will say that. It's never ending. There's always something good happening, and you're always aware of it.
Yeah, well, it's my role to not create it, but really provide the support for people to do all the best things that they can do. So I urge everybody, if you've got a great idea, bring it forward, and we can make it happen.
And you're committing now to run for at least two more. You get two more ideas? Okay.
One cartwheel at a time.
So, Mary Kenton, thank you. We always love having you on.
Thank you for all you do, because you make West Hartford. You bring it to everybody's home, and you highlight all the things that are happening, because there is so much happening. What you say to me about how do you get there, how do you do all this, Ronnie does.
Ronnie, I'm going to lobby for Ronnie to be the Grand Marshal, I think, of this year's Hartford Parade.
Yeah.
So we're going to write a note to the organizers, talk to the organizers.
Yeah.
If I do that, I have to practice doing my own cartwheels.
Well, Ronnie came in, you placed in the road race. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, third place.
I did place third, but well behind my running partner, Lori, and Mary Liz Williams, who's always been a really great runner.
Yeah, Mary Liz celebrates my absence many times.
But we did, and yes, had you run, I would not have been, I would not have placed. But
yes, you probably.
What we actually noticed is the 10-year younger age group, we would have all, if we were that age, we would have all placed.
Really?
Yes. So I feel really good about that.
Wow,
Because it
that's
wasn't
very
just
cool.
reaching a new age.
That's very cool.
And then let's give a shout out to Ted, who Ronnie's husband Ted, who placed first in his group.
Yes. So
he's
he's always he's speedy. Yes, and he would have been. He was first. Yes.
Jerry, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So anyway, Ronnie, we're having I got alerted with technical issue. We're broadcasting fine, but somewhere deep in the bowels of the BeLive app, there's an old header that says we are interviewing somebody from Ukraine. So I'm going to apologize to the audience for that. I've searched and searched, not been able to find it. I believe it should be on the Be Live side. It's not on our side. So I do apologize to our
Yeah,
viewers.
I haven't gotten any messages, and
Yeah,
I'm
we
trying to see if I see it.
we got it from TV, but what we see here is Ronnie and John live for Effie's, and then we see the correct crawl. So I'm not sure what's
Oh, it says it here. Okay, I'm gonna actually go to Weha and see if I can
Do you think it's on?
edit that.
Okay, do you think it's on that? Okay.
Yes,
All
I
right.
can
John,
edit it
will you
right
sit
now.
with us for a moment?
Sure, absolutely. Smile for me first.
So, broadcasting live, posing for pictures. Oh, over here. Sorry. Yep. And then zoom this back.
Oh, we really would love to talk to you.
So, yeah. All right, we're gonna.
I'm here all day.
John, you're bumping it. Sorry.
It's the second time I got
So,
bumped
go ahead,
today.
Claire. Have a seat. Yeah, Claire, we've been looking forward to seeing you. So,
I'm fixing the head there.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So we're working on the technical issue. We are broadcasting live from Effie's. Come on down. There's 1 million people here. The energy's fantastic. Donate for a great cause. The Park Road Parade, which is always a great way to spend Saturday in October. Claire Nazarella, she is one of our illustrious Board of Education members. Claire, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good.
So you have, we're going to talk about this event and how important it is, but you guys have, it's been an interesting spring. Is that a fair, between the public comments and all that? You've got one major decision ahead of you. Talk to us a little bit about the superintendent search.
Yeah, so we're looking forward. We're talking to search firms right now and making a selection very soon, I hope. And then we'll be starting getting public opinion, getting information, and then start putting together the ad and the search, and hopefully be talking to some candidates soon. So it's all, right now it's a search firm that we're looking for.
So to go through the process, the search firm will present candidates to you that kind of fit the profile that you've described to the search firm. You as a body, not you as a board.
Yeah, so until we interview the search firms and find out their process,
Right.
that's the process we go with.
Okay.
So it's not determined exactly how it works till we
Okay,
know.
so then eventually you pick a search firm, they put candidates in front of you. Is it strictly a board of decision? Do you involve school officials, parents? That sort
I'm
of
not
thing?
I'm not clear about that
Okay,
right now.
okay. Yeah, it's a big, important decision, and it's probably, is it fair to say right now, looking forward, the biggest thing on your plate at this point, right?
Yeah, because we're in recess right now.
Yeah.
So
Which
but
you
we're
guys
not.
deserve. You guys have earned that. I just want to say that for the record.
Yeah, we're not in recess because of the superintendent search.
Let's talk a little bit about SEL, because there's so much misinformation about SEL. And it's social and emotional learning is what SEL stands for. And I was at your last meeting, and I thought there was a student, I believe she was at Bristol. She got up, she did marbles. Am I right, or am I conflating
Yeah.
my
Marbles.
secrets?
Did marbles.
And she talked about how SEL made such a positive impact in her life. And I personally appreciated seeing that from because if I were on the other side of the issue, which I don't quite understand how to get into that, she was very compelling to me because she really helped me understand 4 kids committed suicide somewhere in this country in the 3 minutes that she spoke.
Yeah, I think she said attempted.
Oh, attempted. Okay,
Yes,
attempted.
yes.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. And I thought that was a very powerful message.
Yeah, I mean, if as a child, if you feel alone or feel unsupported, it's scary. And for parents who have children that don't feel like they fit in and are depressed, I mean, childhood shouldn't be so hard. And,
I remember it was hard.
Yeah.
I wish I had SEL as a kid.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
And the thing is, our kids are much more sophisticated, understand more with social media and all the things that they saw.
So much more.
Right. And they talk about it. They watch shows that involve it. We weren't raised that way. So we don't really understand the world that they're living in. And they have no problems with pronouns. They pick it up quickly. and they just want to feel like they belong, they fit in, that they're accepted, and we can do a lot. We could save lives by letting kids know that they're loved and accepted and have a part to play in our lives.
So,
And I think, I just want to say, so what I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand is that social emotional learning is much more than just the two lessons that are about gender identity and gender stereotypes. There's a lot more lessons about, people about acceptance and kindness, and that's really the crux of the overall curriculum.
Right. I think they stated that out of 80 lessons, there's 2 on gender.
right.
And
And those are the two that Tucker Carlson are trying to scare middle-aged white people with. I mean, and it's upsetting. So, my perception, and if I'm wrong, debate me. I try to attend, I certainly try to attend the public comment section.
Right.
And what I see in the comment section is folks will come up and they'll argue the points for, in my opinion, but against something that you folks are working, the board as a body is working towards. But as weeks go on and meetings go on, their argument tends to improve. And let me give you an example. I think a very compelling argument for any parent to make their child is, would I have a say in what my child is learning? Or could my child have a say in what they're learning and not learning at school? And it's a tough argument for me because it's like, I do believe that parents should have some input. How does that, how do you handle it? I think that's a tough one.
Well, from what I understand, so when it's human development, the specific days that's being taught. It's planned ahead. It comes at a certain time in the year. When those lessons are. With social emotional learning, teachers sometimes, there's an issue on the playground. There's a problem in class. There's something that's upsetting kids. It's something that's in the media. And so the lessons aren't always planned exactly at a certain time. And so you might need to pull from your social emotional library what pertains to what's happening.
A problem to solve an issue.
Right.
Yes.
So there's no specific day that something is exactly going to be presented. It's presented when it's needed or when it fits within what's happening in the environment.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm not pro Hartford at all, but I want to say congratulations on navigating school mascot issues. There were a lot of opinions, but in the end, I think kids felt empowered. I think they felt they were able to consider the process. And I hope that's the name.
Yeah. I like the new names.
I do
think
too.
the kids,
I like
the kids are pretty excited.
I'm a hall. My kids are hall. So I like the type. I like the red wolves too. I mean, they're both great names.
Yeah. And my daughter's going to be a red wolf.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
So
good.
she's excited about it, and she liked. It was nice that they included the 8th graders as well, because they're coming into school, and that's a neat opportunity for them.
So what do you see, superintendent aside, let's forward to the 2022-2023 school year. What are some of, as a body, what are some of your biggest challenges?
I think the mental health issues within the school and the stress in class when so many kids are struggling. So there's some new legislation that will add more. The new budget is adding more to the mental health funds that we have. So I think there's going to be some changes. I don't think we really know the full impact of the pandemic on kids.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think we're going to find ways to help kids and have more access to more funds. So I think that's going to be the big push within the schools to help the kids where they are and help them get to a happier place and a place where they can navigate their world better.
I don't know much about it, but Tammy Exum, who is the 19th district state rep, I know she, along with one or two other state reps, quarterback a major mental health initiative. We're going to get around this. She's here today. We'll talk to her a little bit. Otherwise, we'll get her on the show. But it'll be nice to see how that dovetails with what you've got your focus on. And as an educator, I mean, you probably know better than anybody. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a school teacher and you have 2, 3, 4 kids in your class struggling, that affects how you can teach.
Yeah.
It affects your whole day.
Yeah.
And you want to do what's best for every kid, but when you're juggling 24 and 2 need individual attention, it's really hard to meet the needs of all the kids in your class. So it's been hard on teachers to feel like you did the best you could, because you really need to be 2 people sometimes in some classes.
When I interviewed, and I forget, I don't remember if it was Lorna or Deb. I think it was Deb, when Deb was chair. And I asked her a question, given what was happening in the public comment section, are you afraid? And now, if I were to direct a question to anybody, I'd be directing it to teachers with this gun violence. I don't want to use the word issue. How are we going to afford it? This horrible situation. Are you see, or getting in touch with your teachers? Are teachers more fearful in their jobs? Are you hearing anything, seeing anything at the teacher level about this issue?
I mean, we've been practicing lockdown drills for years. I had 22 and 3-year-olds, or 3 and 4-year-olds in my class, in my office, on the floor during a lockdown drill a month ago, and they're all just quiet and they do what they need to do.
When I was in school 100 years ago, they would have a fire drill. They didn't tell us if it was a real fire or not. Do they tell you if it's lockdown? Is it practice, or do they just code blue or whatever and scare the crap out of you guys?
Well, they don't scare us, but in the beginning of the school year, they will warn people. They will let people know, because you have new kids, and it's a new procedure. So I think typically lockdowns and fire drills are pre-warned in the first few months of school, but then it's not warned, because you need to be ready wherever you are in the building, and the kids need to be ready. So yeah, we don't pre-warn everybody, but in the beginning of the year we might, because the kids are new to the school year.
I don't relish the idea of participating in an active shooter. So whether it's a drill or obviously a real thing, it just sounds to me very traumatizing, no matter what it is. I agree it has to happen. I don't think I just think it's awful that it has to happen.
Yeah, we've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So I'm just going to pipe in. It's my understanding in West Hartford that in West Hartford Public Schools that the first lockdown drill of the school year is planned and everybody's notified in advance that that's what it is, but future ones are not announced in advance.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to be prepared, and the kids are really great about it. They listen to the teachers. They're quiet. They're respectful, and you can't live your life in fear. I mean, the way it is right now, it can happen anywhere.
We just had Sherry on, and there will be the right moment when I can ask her this question. This obviously is not it, but I couldn't imagine. She ran for mayor of a small community, of a very close-knit community. It's an unpaid position. You can imagine her getting the phone call at you one day, or you as a party getting that call one day. And that's what this. I don't mean to go politically, but I really hope this step of what the Senate's working on is the first of a lot of steps. We shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be having conversations. We should talk about Effie.
Yeah, we should be talking about coffee.
Inviting, and Ronnie, by the way, we were a little serious there, but Ronnie did go to cup number 3 for those of you watching at home. So we've got cup number 3.
They're being topped off, we should
So
say.
yes, so maybe 2.5. But so how do you like you're helping out at Effie's? How'd you get involved? Talk about the fundraiser.
Well, it's a great way. I think Park Road Parade's an amazing parade. Very few towns have a parade just for parade's sake. And so I love the Park Road Parade, and I think this is a great way to raise money for it. I also never was a waitress. I've never done this
Well, there we
before.
go.
So
You're learning
it was
something.
my
You're learning
chance
a new
to do
skill.
something new.
So super. So never too late to learn a new skill. So anyway, Claire Nezerall, thank you so much. Thank you for your service to the community. I know it's not been easy. Hang in. We're behind you. And thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thanks for all
Thanks,
you guys
Claire.
do.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Ronnie, we got our next guest ready to go. You gotta go. Sorry. State Senator Derek Slapp.
All right. And I'm going to turn the camera on to Derek.
All right.
Here we go, right here.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Derek, how are you? You want to just host? We'll walk away. You can just talk. You can, you can do a little thing. How are you?
I'm
Good to
excellent,
see you.
excellent.
So,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for doing this.
You had a very, very eventful and I think successful legislative session this year.
Yeah.
Mental health.
Yeah.
We codified quite thoroughly, I hope, women's right to choose.
Yep.
What else? Talk about some of the initiatives you were involved in.
Yeah, well, one of the things that everyone's talking about is affordability, right? Because, inflation, I mean, if you go and pump gas, I just did before I arrived here, and it was just over $5 a gallon. So people, I think, are feeling squeezed. So I think we were able to, we can't single-handedly defeat inflation, but we were able to, I think, make Connecticut a little bit more affordable than it would have been otherwise. So we did that by suspending one of the gas taxes. We did that by certainly, we addressed sales tax, the property tax, tax on investment income, pension. We were one of only 14 states to have a state income tax on Social Security. We're phasing that out completely, so people who are fixed income and retired, will help in that regard. And this is particularly important for people in West Hartford, is we cap the car tax. So people's car tax, well, it's not going to go in completely. We'd love to do that.
Right.
The towns get a little concerned though, because then we don't want to just shift it to the property tax, right, to people's homes. But we were able to basically reduce your car tax by 10 mils, which is about 25% or so, which is every little bit helps. So I think that is one of the things, other than the ones that you mentioned too, we're able to do.
Okay, so let me, as a budget nerd, let me push back on you, because I am concerned as a constituent, as a resident of the town and the state. We've cut our gasoline taxes. I understand that's temporary. I actually like gas taxes. We can talk about that sometime.
Absolutely.
But I think it drives people to do the right thing.
Yeah, look at electric cars.
Yeah, exactly. So
Totally.
I'm actually a big fan of the gas tax. But so I was against that. But I think I was the only one who was against cutting the taxes. And I understand
I
it
understand what
was
you're
for very good reason. But so we've reduced a lot of other taxes. How is that going to impact the state that has a lot of unfunded long-term liabilities?
Yeah.
That's scary to me.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I think we have not repeated the sins of the past. And as you know, I think it's alluding to for 60 years, nothing was put away for pensions. So it's gold-plated pensions where, there was not enough or zero employee contributions. An unrealistically high rate of return was expected. And then we weren't putting anything away. So we, just to kind of put it in perspective to answer your question, we had about $600 million worth of tax cuts. We put an extra $3 billion against our unfunded liabilities this past session. So, and we were still able to make important investments, like you mentioned, in mental health. So in public education being another one. So I think we have found the right balance.
Can we sustain that level of investment in the future with the tax? Can we continue to put $2.5 billion into the future with these tax cuts, with the COVID, stimulus ending, with things kind of stabilizing after COVID? Are we able to continue to do that?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's a great question. I mean, we didn't do anything that I think was too aggressive. If you looked at the stock market yesterday,
Oh my gosh, we don't want to.
it was brutal. So I think the important thing is we have a very robust rainy day fund of about $3.5 billion. So, and 4 or 5 years ago, we had nothing.
Right.
So now we're going into, I hope we don't have a recession, but we will have one obviously eventually. But I think we're as best prepared as any state in the country for a recession. So it's not like, okay, oh my gosh, we're going to have to undo everything, because we have a strong rainy day fund, paying off pension liabilities, And then, you know, we did try to do some things that I mentioned to make it a little bit more affordable right now. So that was the goal. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's a balancing act.
One of the reasons why I voted for Lamont, I'm a Lamont supporter, is he is a good businessman. I like seeing a good businessman. We've got Stefanowski, who's running again. He seems to be, if his ads are an indication, he's trying to be the kinder, gentler Stefanowski, not being so biting in his attack. But why should we vote for Ned again?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at how the Lamont administration has performed in a very, very challenging few years, right?
Yeah.
During the pandemic, we're really, by any measure, you know, I think they did a really good job, and the polls reflect that. Most people believe that he did. So you have that, and then you have, you know, what we were talking about in terms of the fiscal stability of the state, addressing our unfunded liability. When he first started, he said, "I don't want to lurch from one budget crisis to the next and to the next." And I think he's been able to accomplish that. So does that deserve to be fired? That's essentially what we're talking about. And is he responsible for inflation when we think it's a national global issue right now? I don't think
global
that's
issue. Yeah.
Credible. Criticism.
Right. Agreed. 100%. I agree. So, all right. So we're into the summer, in the fall.
Yeah.
City Foods going to start reaching out. Can you help on this? Can you help on that? One that I'm going to be pushing for is aid and dying. I think that's an important one. I know it's also a very tough one. What do you see as some of the big issues in you? Assuming, you know, are you opposed? Are you even opposed?
I think I am technically unopposed right now.
Okay, so let's go with you're reelected. What are some of the hot button, top line agenda items for you next year?
Yeah, so it starts with, you know, if I'm fortunate enough to be back, I'm chair of the Higher Education Committee, so I have a co-chairs in the House. So we have cognizance over basically all higher education in the state, and we really need to continue to, I think, strengthen our workforce pipeline, and which is going to help, you know, the economy, right? And we have to make higher education more accessible, more affordable, and not just the 4-year degrees, et cetera, but we're talking about both tech schools, and because not every single person needs to go on to a 4-year school or graduate school, et cetera. So that's going to be a focus in the Higher Education Committee. I introduced a bill last year to eliminate the gender tax, which is essentially, you know, women pay a lot more for goods and services than men do, and that's something where, you know, there's national bills, but they always fail. And so it's going to be
The pink
tax. Exactly.
Now, Derek, I'm sorry, I got to argue. I don't think it's fair for me to pay the same for haircut as what Ronnie pays. I'm sorry. So I'm going to argue.
You have a good case, but yeah.
Yes, but your razor costs less than mine.
That's right.
Yeah, see that? Because but your razor is a little. No, I shouldn't make jokes. This has a little flour on it, but no, that's a good point, and I think that's a good point.
Yeah,
So,
I try to really root out discrimination and, you know, unfair practice wherever we can. If you think about it, women are already treated unfairly in the workforce, in terms of, you know, 80 cents on the dollar, and then in the public marketplace, they're also treated unfairly. And so that's something I'll be pushing again, and hopefully we'll be able to make some progress on. It's kind of a continuation of when I first got elected. We were able to get through a good pay equity bill, which so now we were one of the first states in the country to get rid of salary history questions. So if you apply for a job, the employer can't ask you, how much do you currently make? You can't ask you that on your job application or whatever. So, you know, it's just another kind of, I think, another example of how we're making progress and making the economy fairer for everybody. So that'll be something I'll definitely be pushing as well. Yeah.
well, Derek, thank you. Why are we here today? Talk a little bit about Hartford Parade. What it means to you?
Oh, I mean, I'm here with my family. The parade is fantastic. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's just heaven, this area. I love it. And all these small businesses, which are really kind of the backbone of this area here. And there's been so much growth and just, you know, and really positive development. I love to see it. And again, it's small family-owned businesses. That's what it's all about here. So anything I can do to just help and contribute. And we have a meeting later on today with some developers and some people who are looking at, you know, kind of helping to develop different sections of this road too, and you know, make it even stronger.
So any of we met with the mayor. He talked about the transit-oriented development, not district. I always want to say district. I'm sorry.
Right.
Any of the developers over there we'd be talking to, or have you been paying attention to that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that, I mean, we talked about kind of priorities, things we're going to be pushing next year, the whole West Hartford delegation, is we really want a train stop down on New Park Avenue. So without connect,
Glad to
right?
hear that's going to be on the agenda.
Absolutely, that's going to connect.
That's going to be called Cancer Station, if I have anything to say about that.
Okay,
so I'm going
fair
to call
enough.
it Cancer Station.
I will.
You'll
sign
endorse
up and
that?
sponsor
Okay,
that as well.
super. Good, thank you.
No problem.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, connect
So-
West Hartford to, of course, to Boston, to New York, to Springfield,
Awesome.
etc. So
I'll tell you, a train route through here of that nature would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Just be a game.
yeah, for that whole area, and I think to your point, what the mayor was talking about is we'd see more development, more, and not like the sprawl. That's it. It's like we already have the infrastructure here. We
Right.
want walkable, we want safe, we want bicycles, pedestrians, all that, right? And anchored by great small businesses like this one. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. So.
Yeah.
And big night for you today. Your daughter is graduating from Connard, right?
She's graduating from Connard. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Ron stays on top. I don't stay on top of this, so congratulations to your daughter.
thank
That's
you.
awesome.
I'll be there taking photos.
Oh, great! Yeah, well, and then Saturday we're taking her to Paris for a week for a kind of congratulations.
Wow, can I be your child?
Yeah, really. Yeah, will you adopt us?
Well, this
So,
is something
please.
I've planned for many years, and it got derailed because of COVID, of course. So.
Does anyone in the family speak French?
Maggie does a little bit. My wife does a little bit. I don't speak any. So
I absolutely love Paris.
Yeah. Any advice?
The most, just
What do you think?
just enjoy yourself. I think people, the old perception that the French don't care for Americans.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the truth. But I think if you're just kind, treat people with respect. But I love it. I could spend that whole day in Paris. I love it. I've gone a couple of times over the last several years.
Great.
Just enjoy. You're going for
Wear
1 week.
comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Comfortable
yeah,
shoes.
there you go. Wear comfortable
Walk a
shoes.
lot.
There's a wonderful. We were talking with Sherry about the new farmers market. That's the ribbon cutting is this Sunday here in Town Hall.
Okay.
There's an incredible farmers market. It's very well known. It's huge. It's blocks long.
Oh wow.
You'll find it. It's on Thursdays. It's incredible. So if you can find your way there, it's
I'm gonna
well
remember
worth the
that.
trip. So
Yeah,
it's well worth the
thank
trip.
you.
So,
On Mars, is that where it is?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah,
up on the
yeah.
hill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
I
Thursday
know I
mornings.
butchered the pronunciation of that because I don't speak French either.
So
Yeah, I know. I understand.
you fooled us. So
You're
you
just
did well. So
Yeah.
anyway, Derek, thank you.
Yeah,
we
no,
really
thank you
appreciate
very
everything you do. So,
Well, likewise. And so, all right. So you're
I'm looking
looking
around
at
to see our
scouting
next guest. We're
around.
gonna grab Essie LeBeau here in a minute. Where she's eating her breakfast.
Essie's over there.
So
I saw Liam here.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go grab
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Liam Sweeney.
Okay. Do you want me to grab
you
Liam?
grab it in?
I am
Come
gonna
on.
grab. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, man.
All
Like
right,
to do.
thanks, Derek.
Hey, Derek, Derek, I'm going to reach out to you on that other thing here this week. All right. Okay. Thank you.
So I'm going to come back for a minute, and we are going to introduce to you West Hartford's Deputy Mayor, Liam Sweeney, who's here, or who at least I just saw carrying a baby car carrier
Yep.
walking out.
We had-
but
we-
now his hands are not full anymore.
Yeah, we had the whole team here. It's one of our favorite places to eat. Blueberry pancakes with whipped cream.
There you go.
You know, way to go. And sometimes the Mickey Mouse pancakes, those kind of carry the day too. So it's
Liam, how old are your kids?
5, 3, and 6 months.
Oh my God! Well, congratulations. I don't think you had. I don't think I knew you had a newborn.
Oh
So
yeah,
congratulations. So,
December 3rd. So
wow. Well, congrats and God bless. That's
thank
awesome.
you. Yeah.
Oh, and don't lift him up in the air too many times.
Oh, was there an
Ronnie
accident?
had a close
Oh,
interaction.
I was
oh.
lucky. I was wearing my raincoat at the time, so
Perfect.
that was safely out there.
Well, yeah, no, he's outside of throwing up on people he just meets, he's a pretty good baby.
He's
so far.
adorable.
Yeah,
He really is.
yeah. So this is one of our go-to places, as you guys remember when you have young kids. It's like only certain places you can bring them.
Yeah, where
to
they're
eat.
truly welcome.
They're,
Yes.
they're welcomed here, and the staff knows us pretty well. And you can pay with Apple Pay, so you can get in and out pretty quickly here.
So we did talk to the mayor about this, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. It's a big night tonight for you.
Yeah, council meeting tonight, so it should be with some really important stuff, particularly on future development. We're really excited about the stuff that's going on in New Park.
So much opportunity on New Park. I mean, I was over there looking at buildings the other day, and it is just I see nothing but opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think you already see some of the opportunity growing there. I think people are embracing it. I say this to anyone. We're really lucky and fortunate in town that people want to develop here. Not everywhere has developers kind of knocking on their door. And right now, we have people knocking on their door and wanting to build here. And I think that's a really big thing. Mayor, how are you? Hi, I see you. So we're just really fortunate, and I'm excited to see what's going on. And I think this is going to be a big step in future development and bringing in other developers, but also helping us do some creative things over there. So I'm really excited about it.
So it's nice. You get to catch your breath. It's an off year. You're not running for re-election this year. It's like, okay, I can take a breath. We're worried about the states, the constitutional offices.
That's right.
But so let's get through the summer. What are some of your big ideas heading into the next session? What are some things you'd like to see the town do? What do you personally want to accomplish
Obviously our number one goal is to have an affordable budget here in town and make sure that we continue to make this place a town that people want to live in and make it affordable. I think affordability is number one thing on people's minds right now. Just last night in our finance meeting, we started a program, or initiating a program to use Arpa funding to help small businesses, and that'll be on, I think, later half of this month's agenda. It'll be a competitive grant program for folks looking that have had significant, right now, input costs for small businesses, particularly one like that we're in, are skyrocketing. And so what we've been trying to do is figure out ways to help both nonprofits and businesses. And I think getting that off the ground and seeing that move forward is really important to us. I think the other thing that everyone's heard me talk about is the community center, getting that the big development that we have over there, get that off the ground. Really, we have the town has contracted an architect at this point, and it's kind of scaling that out is kind of what we hope to do soon.
Were there I know at Celebrate West Hartford there was a booth where people could come and give their ideas about the community center. Was there much input?
I haven't been able to see that yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I think one of the things that from covering the council meetings is getting that input. I think we really want to make sure that this everyone has full use of that, whether it be kids, seniors, and then just general everyone. I think there's we're looking at a cultural center component to it as well. And then we've also had people ask us about a dog park over there too. So that's another thing. I think
that's been an ongoing, ever since I arrived in town.
Yeah. So I think that the dog park thing is also something we'd like to kind of knock down for the first time and get that going. I think there's some opportunity to do that. I know that there's some really strong advocates for that in town. I think we finally have some space in town to potentially look at that. That would be great to get done too. But just again, a lot of the local stuff comes at you quickly. But just continue to make sure that we're developing in the right way. I think that we're going to see that. I think when we have new developers coming in, making sure that they have an affordable component to what they're doing, I think is something that we're trying to do. And I think that over the last couple of years we've seen a lot of that. And hopefully we can continue to see that really smart development in town as well.
One thing that West Hartford is, I feel weird talking without being seen. One thing that West Hartford is looking at doing is, I guess it's an ongoing project with a consultant right now to look at making the center more accessible and using some of the ARPA money for improvements to the center. But before deciding how to do it, you're going to really take an overall look at it. Can you talk about that process at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So last night in the finance meeting, we approved about $100,000 to do a plan to study kind of the walkability and sustainability of the town. I think that's something that is obviously front and center on people's minds right now after a tragic accident at West Urban Center, but something that has been front and center for a lot of folks. I think particularly coming off of the Main Street diet, there's some input from that that planner who gave us some inputs on what could be done there. And so I think we have to keep that into account as people, particularly young families, like myself, move here and people are attracted to come here. I think we're seeing that. We have to make sure that it's sustainable and walkable and friendly to pedestrians. And I think that's something that I think we've tried to do in a smart and reasonable way for people to kind of grow into it. Because change is really difficult for a lot of people, particularly here in town, where people can freak out about the smallest things. But making sure that the place is walkable is certainly something we need to think about.
Well, you managed to do it, and you managed to increase the tax rolls, which is critical. It's critical to keeping our taxes reasonable and getting more people and more industry into the community.
I mean, most of that is I would put a lot of the credit on the town school system and and the Board of Ed and the work that they've done. Without them, people don't want to be here. And people move here now because we have 2 of the top 10 schools in the state, and it's a reasonably affordable place. And our job is to keep it affordable, and their job is to keep those schools performing at all-time high, even though they have a really diverse set of people there and diverse set of needs at the school. So, as my friend who's sitting across from me can talk about, it's
Oh, we got questions for him, all right.
Attracting people.
A surprise guest.
Yeah, we have a surprise guest coming up next. Although Liam, you were a surprise too, so we enjoy having you on too. So
I think what's really great to have the mayor here too is kind of a demonstration of what the development that we're going to have at the end of the street here. This is a Mercy big apartment complex that's going in there. I think when we initially did that development, one of the comments I had was, growing up here, there was always that prospect was always this
dividing line.
A dividing line, almost a wall, if you will.
Yep.
And I feel that development is really hopefully going to change kind of the outlook of this whole corridor. And the mayor's been a big friend of West Hartford and has frequently come on over here for some events, and it's great to have him here.
Liam, thank you very much for coming on. We do have the mayor of Hartford coming up next. So, Liam, thank you, and we'll see you at the Park Road Parade. We're gonna beat him up good.
I'll make you the only one.
So joining us from the green room, aka the chair next to John Lyons, is Hartford Mayor Luke Cronin. And we'll adjust the laptop. We don't have the fancy TV equipment that the local news station who is here reporting has.
We're a little more low tech, but we people watching. We're on Channel 5, so we got a little, and we're streaming on several
Sounds
pages.
good.
So, Mayor, my first time meeting you. Very nice to meet you.
Great to meet you
How are
too,
sir.
Doing great. It's good to see you.
Good to see you again.
So, what brings you to town? How does the Park Road Parade impact you? How does it impact Hartford? Talk a little bit about that.
As Liam was just saying, I mean, the Park Road turns right into Park Street, and it is a corridor that links our 2 communities, where there's a lot of activity and vibrancy happening on both sides. And one of the things I've been a long time strong believer in is we got to tighten the relationship between our communities. In most parts of the country, Hartford, West Hartford, East Hartford, Wethersfield, Windsor would all be one city. And I think we got to do our best, even if we preserve our boundaries, we got to do our best to work together and promote that sense of common spirit. So everything that is good for Park Road, I think is good for Park Street and vice versa. We're doing a lot of work to make Park Street and especially the Parkville area, the Parkville market and area as vibrant as we can, and I love linking into this.
Well, thank you for coming. Talk to us. Hartford, has challenges. Everybody knows Hartford has challenges. One of the challenges.
But Hartford has it.
But Hartford does, yes. So, but talk about.
I hashtag that every time I go to the yard goods game.
There you go.
Anytime
Hartford has it. So, how has a lot of areas have seen a boom in housing? How is housing? How are the tax rolls? What's happening in Hartford? How is the overall budget looking in Hartford?
Sure. I mean, all 3 of those things are looking good. In terms of housing, We've got thousands of units in the pipeline on development. If you look at the new units that have gone in, particularly around the downtown, they're almost 100% occupied. They fill up about as fast as we can build them. And the constraint is supply, not demand. We need to accelerate the development, the construction of that residential. If you look from the 2010 census to the 2020 census, the downtown residential population in Hartford increased by 50%. So we still have a ways to go. I think we need about 5,000 more units around the downtown. And we're doing a lot of development in our neighborhoods as well. From Upper Albany to Coatesville to Parkville. There's a lot of neighborhood economic development. But I think we really have to focus on that residential density, especially in the wake of COVID. So that is going well, but we're doing everything we can to keep our foot on the gas. In terms of taxes, our residential taxes are lower than most towns in the region. And actually in this past budget, we were able to lower the mill rate fairly significantly, about 7.2%, the biggest reduction in the property tax rate in about 3 decades. So that was something that would have been unimaginable 5 or 6 years ago. And we worked very hard in partnership with a lot of folks, state businesses, labor, and making some tough decisions to get ourselves in a fundamentally different fiscal place. And we're just going to try to stay the course.
Sorry, Ronnie, you go.
I was going to say, what are some of the highlights of things going on in Hartford this summer that you really are hoping to get people into?
There's a ton. By the way, the folks can only see from here up. I'm wearing my serving apron here at Effie. So
we can show you. There you go.
Right, there we go.
See, we're high tech here.
Right, it's not wearing overalls. It's not armor brown.
So there's a ton going on this summer. Obviously, you have the Yard Goats and Hartford Athletic playing. You've got the Hartford Stage and Bushnell and Theater Works back in action, drawing a lot of people in. But we also have almost every single weekend a family-friendly festival of some kind. If you look back at this 2 weekends ago, you had the Hartford Symphony in the park, plus the Greek Festival. This past weekend, you had the Hartford Taste Festival on Constance Plaza, which drew a lot of people in, as well as a community Juneteenth celebration on Sunday and a bunch of other stuff. This coming weekend, we have a real big community Juneteenth celebration on Sunday. Weekend after that, you got Latino Fest, and on, weekend after weekend through the city. Whether it's our West Indian Taste of the Caribbean Festival down at the waterfront, or whether it's our Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz, which is one of the biggest events of the summer. And then the other thing that we've got are a few new things. We have the Domingo program, which is reclaiming, sort of like the Park Road Parade, but reclaiming a big avenue the fourth Sunday of every month during the summer for sort of street festival. Closing it down to cars for music, dance, food, community, people to walk and bike, kind of reclaim those avenues as public spaces. And then we have a whole bunch of concerts that are going to be coming in and around the city later in the summer.
So that's in, I guess, 2 weeks from now. Where specifically? What is it on Farmington Avenue?
We're going to have one on Farmington, one on Park, and one on North Main.
Wow.
And so if you Google Domingo Hartford, play on the Spanish word Sunday, go to just Google Domingo Hartford and check it out and schedule.
Talk a little bit about business in the industry. What are you doing to try to attract new business? I know there's been some of the insurance has a little bit of left.
Not lately. Actually, lately more insurance has come in. I mean, if you look at the Hartford, they're actually consolidating more employees into downtown Hartford. We had, even during the pandemic, we had Sun Life, the insurance company, move their headquarters into Hartford. The issue isn't so much companies deciding to move out. Again, in fact, more companies have been moving in. The issue is the change in the nature of work, right? And how many employees are in the office. And that's a challenge for every downtown. And that's why we're so focused on the residential development and making sure that we have people in the city 24/7, especially in that downtown where you have fewer people in office buildings. And I think that's a structural change in the way people work that we just got to adjust to and I think the residential development is the answer to that. In terms of other business initiatives, we're working very aggressively to partner with small businesses to activate retail space. We've had some retail space that's been vacant for a long time, and then like a lot of urban centers, we had a lot of retail space that went vacant during the pandemic. And we have launched an initiative called the Hartford Program, using some of our American Rescue Plan dollars in partnership with the Hartford Chamber of Commerce to invest alongside small businesses that are opening up in vacant retail parks. We've got more than 30 businesses already coming in and opening up. You look at a street like Pratt Street, North Side has been vacant for 20 years. Right now, every single spot is under contract.
Nice.
And a lot of those are West Hartford business owners too, who are using that opportunity to also
To expand.
Yeah.
It's a great mix. I mean, you got a lot of local Hartford businesses. You got a lot of folks from around the region.
Well, it's nice to see. I mean, Hartford's taking its share of lumps. It's nice to see you very engaged and rolling up your sleeves, because it needs that kind of engagement from leadership. I'm not sure it's getting that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see. And thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
You mentioned you touched on this early on, and then you went on to the topics. Do you see regionalization happening? Do you see, you talk about many areas, Glastonbury, East Hartford, Hartford, West Hartford would be one community. I know this is kind of a loaded question, but you alluded to it. Do you see that? I mean, I know.
No, I don't see it happening. I think that, if 100 years ago we had done that, I actually think our whole state would be better off. But we didn't, and I don't think that's going to change. Look, I do think, though, that we should continue to push for ways to partner, and in ways big and small. The idea that we all have a 911 dispatch center is absolutely nuts. I mean, it's inefficient. It makes no sense. No other place in the country does it. Honestly, the idea that every single town has its own fire department really makes no sense, either from a public safety standpoint or from an economic.
We've got one of our branches
that also is not likely to change anytime soon.
And one of our fire department branches is across the street from Hartford. I mean, why aren't we serving, parts of the West End?
Well, and to flip it, almost every time there's a real fire in West Hartford firefighters come in to assist.
Multi-alarm. No question.
Do you see with now Matt Hart, the former West Hartford town manager, is the executive director of CROG? Do you see that kind of
I'm really looking
changes to regionalization?
Well, I'm really looking forward to working with him. Obviously, he's got terrific background, knows West Hartford well, and I think he's a great person to have in that role as we work to figure out other ways that we can partner.
Super. Outside of what we talked about, coming up in the next fiscal year, you have another big goal, another big idea, anything else that's really keeping you awake at night that you really want to try?
We've got a lot of big economic development stuff underway. You can see the development around the baseball park moving forward pretty rapidly. But we have big plans in and around Parkville neighborhood, especially around the Parkville market. A lot of residential development plan there, as well as the expansion of the market itself and some commercial development. The area around the Bushnell Theater, you have that sea of surface parking lots, which the Capital Region Development Authority has just closed a request for qualifications for developers to develop that. That's about another 1,000 units potential residential development, which I think is really a game changer. It kind of links Main Street over to the Capitol area, Park Street down to Bushnell Park. It starts to make Bushnell Park the center of things again, rather than the periphery. And then we're doing a ton on Albany Avenue. We've already put a lot of investment into Albany Avenue, which is a critical commercial corridor, and we're doubling down there as well.
Well, I thank you for coming on, and I think we, not you, we need to do a better job, and maybe we need to get you in studio
anytime
for show to really talk about, because I think there's a lot to sell. And there's a lot of sizzle and steak in Hartford at this point, and people from West Hartford and surrounding communities, let's just start thinking of it. I mean, we've got great timing. We got the yard sales, we got we got those events you talk about, the festivals, things like that. I mean, there's a lot there. I didn't know about a lot of this 20 minutes ago. So.
Well, there you go. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. Really, we're grateful to have you, and we're going to try to get you in the studio here one of these weeks.
Just let me know anytime. All right, good to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So
we'll see if anybody wants me to take their order out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So
I'm
that was
some breakfast pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, feel free.
I guess we'll have to wait till the show's over.
Or not. I don't know. You can eat a muffin on air. I don't think that's
I will have you know I turned down cup number 4.
Okay. So we're at 3.
So I'm still at 3.
So we're at 3. So
So
we are going to have Essie LeBro join us. Essie is town
clerk. West Hartford town clerk.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you, Essie?
Good.
So I think we're done making voting jokes and ballot jokes and machine jokes.
Doggy jokes?
We're done. That's all right.
It's doggy jokes?
Yeah, exactly.
Licensing?
So we do have. Oh, so you've got some unique. All right. So let's talk about. Essie has to kind of oversee a lot of the voting process. Effectively,
Right, elections from the start to the finish, to developing the ballot, the candidates, nominating petitions, and
You've got some challenges here simply because of redistricting. We've got new polling areas, and people who have previously voted at one polling area, like I used to go to Cedric, but I think I go to somewhere else.
the registrar of voters is in charge of that and will be notifying all the voters of their new polling places, those that have changed. So that will be taken care of by the registrars of voters.
Closer to the area, so, yep.
Okay, and so everything will be ready for the August 9th primary, and we'll take it from there. So
It just, to me, not understanding the process, trusting the process, it's daunting.
yeah.
Like I have to take a breath thinking about all that has to happen between now and effectively 75 days from now.
Right.
That's a lot.
And there is a lot, because right now candidates that want to primary are going through that process. After that, they'll be nominating petitions that minor party and individuals that want to get on the ballot. So there's different ways of getting on the ballot in November. So that's happening now.
So let's talk about, do we have any candidates that we're aware of that have successfully managed to get on the ballot?
We're waiting for confirmation on the primaries. We have heard that there might be on the Democratic side a treasurer primary, secretary of state. There may be a first congressional district. We're waiting to see if those signatures have been certified. And then on the Republican side, we expect a Senate primary. And I'm not sure about any other on the Republican side. We have to wait. In the next week, we should be getting information from the Secretary of State on who the candidates will be on the ballot for August.
So let's go to 50,000 feet here. Let's not talk about candidates or anything, but I think one of the frustrating things for me, I've known you a long time now, and I've been lucky that I've been able to participate a little bit. I helped out at a voting place one year, and I've gotten to kind of see the process. Is that, first of all, for those that do cast doubt or don't believe in our voting process, voting system, the thing that's frustrating for me is it's really easy to get involved, to see for yourself. It's effectively public access. It allows the voters and citizens to get involved. How can I help? How can I be involved? How do we convey that message aside from the way I just did? Because it really is. It's exceptional.
Right. Oh, that's one of the goals, I think, during this election season, is that we communicate through the Secretary of State's office or individual towns and registrars and town clerks on how we do the process. We did a video a couple of years ago explaining the process and how it's done. We are planning on doing another one. A lot of information to the public on how secure our voting process is. Connecticut does do it very well. We have a very small fraudulent ballots. They are people that, the few that have been, the elections enforcement has been involved with, they have prosecuted and they have fined people. But it is not rampant. I mean, because we have such a good method of checks and balances. So everything that we do
or receive the envelopes and the process of keeping track of them.
Every single number, every single verifying signature that the person that sends in the application is an original signature. And there's very many ways of double checking, triple checking. So it is a manual process, and sometimes there's an error, but they're so small that we did 20,000 last time, and it was
like I get frustrated. Sometimes I'll be watching one of the major news networks, and they'll and they know the election was honest and the proper results, whether it's local, regional, national. But they'll use the term, very small amount, and they don't specify a small amount. I mean, you're talking, to be fair, less than 10 ballots out of a population of 20,000 ballots.
That I issue.
So there's several zeros before that one in terms of percentage.
Exactly.
And I think that point needs to be clear, because some people will jump like, wait, there is, but they don't understand that it's,
Or people claiming dead people vote. That is not true, because even if somebody dies, once they do an application for an absentee ballot, when that ballot comes back and the person died before that, we go through the death records and we pull those ballots. So
you have access to all of it.
Yes. So it is very unlikely, unless someone died out of the country, out of state,
right,
and we don't know about it.
Right.
But it's like I said,
it's
.000.
So, I think that point needs to be driven home, because people will see not understand to try to use it to fund their argument.
Right. So we will be providing a lot of information, and people are welcome to be involved. We always need people working at the polls. I could use help with counting absentee ballots or even mailing them. And
so how does somebody? So let's put the appeal out. SC is asking for help.
Yep.
How can somebody reach out to you?
Contact me if they want to assist with. We have to put ballot packets together. That's a whole process. We did that. We had 30 volunteers during the presidential, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And then the registrars, I know, are always looking for poll workers and people to count the ballots at the end of the night. So contact the registrars online. They have an application form, and they can fill that out.
So reach out to LeBron and get involved, and you can see how easy it is,
Happy to show
how fair it is, and how foolproof it can't be tampered with. And I think we need to. I got off of saying we're kind of under the jokes here, because we're seeing everything that's serious.
Yeah, and every state does things differently. A lot of them do county elections, and they have a whole election division.
Right.
Connecticut does it really well. We have these checks and balances at work, and we have a paper ballot trail. That's something else that's really important.
Well, thank
We
you.
should
All
also,
right.
before you
Oh, I'm not saying bye.
we-
I'm going to hit her on the Park Road Parade next. I just want to know.
I was just going to segue to dog licensing month, because I realized that so I used my own puppy as or she's not really a puppy anymore. I still call her a puppy as the poster child for dog licensing, but I actually still need to come to town hall or mail in.
No, mail it in, drop it in. What we're asking people to do is just drop off or mail in the renewal form, and we will mail it out to you. We're trying to have reduced numbers in the office of people, so we've already done 1,000. So we've already done 1,000. So that's
I'm in
really
town
good.
hall all the time anyway,
Yeah,
so that's why I might drop it off.
And so we do know that not everybody registers their dogs, because we typically only do. I think we did 3,200 last year.
And there's probably 20,000 dogs in West Hartford.
Right.
I'm going to be guilty right now. Feeling guilty for Brian. We have not yet registered our dogs, but it is still due.
Correct.
So I was following the point that today that we got a radio and we'll get them. We'll get them right.
And this is a state program too.
It's a
not-
state law.
Yeah.
It has nothing to, and so it's a state law that says your dog must be licensed. And a new law passed, which people may not be aware of, that in order to board your dog or bring it to doggy daycare, you must have it licensed. So we have been seeing an influx of people coming, I need my dog licensed, because they can't board the dog or bring it to doggy daycare anymore. So that was interesting. A little more incentive.
I will check. We do occasionally get help for our dogs, so maybe Judge is already on top of it, and I'm pleading guilty of crime I did not commit.
Remind me. I don't want to get calls on Friday night. I need a dog license.
So thank you for explaining the election. I think it's important. I think every time we have an audience talk about that.
Yeah.
So, our next guest is here.
Okay.
But first, before you leave, what does the Park Road Parade do? Talk a little bit about that.
I just think it's a great community event that everyone comes out for, and it's fun, and I love doing it. So I'm looking forward to October.
I always go to the weekend. Once in a while, I have to travel for this year right now. I'm very excited. I love Park Road Parade.
Yeah, all inclusive. Dogs, kids, everybody.
Folks, we go for another hour here. When I say we, I mean the fundraiser. I'm not sure Ronnie and I will be out for another hour, but come on
I'm
down
going to
to
be to leave pretty soon.
Okay, thank you.
come on down to Effie's and $20. You have a beautiful breakfast. You can even order
Coffee.
You can
I'm
have
getting
coffee.
ready for cup number 4.
We are keeping tally of how many cups of coffee Ronnie's having today. So the goal is no brunch or how many chips
I have not gotten up from this position yet.
So,
Might be soon, but
so.
I haven't had 4 full or 3 full mugs. They've been refilled and topped up, but
We're doing
I
heady
probably
stuff
had at
here.
least 2.
So we're doing heady stuff. So go grab a seat in the hot seat. We're going to talk to you about what you're up to. You just won an award or something.
Yeah, so we are now being joined by Jeanette Sardon.
Hello.
Is one of the founders and co-owners of Eden Connecticut, and I'm trying to get you properly on camera. There we go.
I don't want to talk. I just want to talk fashion. Whenever I get on the phone, you are so. I tell her, like, I love her. She's so stylish. Like, I'm very like a freak, but I do. I love you. She's very fashionable. She's always trying new fashions on Facebook. Friends are on Facebook. You can see the latest fashion. So, okay.
I get to look like Ronnie, who's always very, you can see her outfit very fashionable.
So my new brand new necklace that I got at Celebrate West Hartford.
Oh, that's awesome. I unfortunately was not at Celebrate West Hartford because I was at the Hartford Taste Festival that happened.
Yes, we were talking with the mayor of Hartford a few minutes ago about that. It sounded like it was a great event.
Yeah, I mean, Hartford County really shined this past weekend with all the different celebrations.
I wish I could have come to that. I was working at Celebrate West Hartford all weekend, so I wasn't able to get down there at all. But and somebody needs to make sure that in the future it's not planned for the same.
I know.
Yeah.
We need to change all of that. But my children went to Celebrate. They said it was phenomenal. Yeah,
it was so much fun. It really, the energy, it was amazing. It was a blast. It was really great.
So nice. It's so nice to see people out and enjoying themselves and raising money for good causes. Makes me feel good.
So what are you up to in business, and what's this award you won?
So with my partner for Eaton Connecticut, Kristen and I, we were recognized by the Connecticut Rivers Council through the Boy Scouts of America as influential women who are doing good things for the community. And basically what that means is through Eaton Connecticut, we've had the opportunity to raise a lot of money, create a lot of awareness for what goes on in restaurants, and I tend to say for small businesses as a whole, because especially due to the pandemic, it's been a real challenge for people, and so we're always trying to highlight these small businesses as much as possible, just kind of like what you guys are doing, right? Highlighting small businesses. Through In-Group Creative, which is my marketing company, we've been doing all kinds of great work, which Ronnie is privy to because I'm always submitting press releases to her. So, good things are happening everywhere.
Super. And the business, what are you finding as we come out of COVID? Is it taking off?
I got to say, for my marketing company, business for me personally has been taking off. It's been really nice. And I think part of it is that people were taking a break for good reason. I think I even took a bit of a break. And people are realizing that now's the time to come out and celebrate. And, they need to market themselves. There are a lot of new businesses that came out of COVID, which is amazing. There are new businesses, and I also have a lot of friends that have a full-time business and then started a side hustle, which I'm sure you guys probably know plenty of people.
This is my side hustle. What we're doing right now.
It's not my side hustle.
No, it's not Ronnie's side hustle, but so many people developed a side hustle and really went for it, which is so amazing. And so now they're working their full-time job, their side hustle, and managing whatever else is going on in their lives. And that's pretty incredible. So I love to see that. I'm curious as to how many of those people will give up their full-time jobs and
let the side hustle be the full-time.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the biggest and kind of coolest examples of somebody starting the side hustle that turned into a full-time, really huge operation is New Park Brewing.
Yes.
Because that was, a bunch of people in the financial industry that started that maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And
one was even my tenant.
Oh, okay. And yeah, now it's an incredible operation, kind of right around the corner from here on New Park Avenue.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I love seeing that kind of stuff. To me, it's just incredible that you have a dream and you push it forward and you make something out of it and then you make other people happy.
Yeah.
I just, that is the true American dream. So, but this is great. What's going on at Effie's here today?
It's really a lot of
It's like
fun.
a subway station of people coming
It is.
through.
This is such a fun event because it is. It never stops. I mean, Ronnie and I have been on the air coming up on 2 hours and it feels like 10 minutes.
That's incredible.
I mean, really, it's just, we encourage people to come on in. There's a couple tables open. $20 help contribute to the Park Program and other Park projects. Make a donation and help make it.
And the date of the Park Road Parade?
It's October 1st, 2022. It's always the first Saturday, or almost always the first Saturday in October.
And October, as I hear, is going to be another very busy month for people because there's going to be like all these different celebrations, charity events that are going on. So.
There's always something going on. So now on a personal note, you have a place in Rogers Vineyard.
Yeah.
Fully rented. You have to give
It
it a plug. Because I will give it a plug.
It is fully rented.
I've stayed there. I highly recommend it.
Thank
So.
you. We're very fortunate. With Ronnie's place in Nantucket, we always say that we have to wave to each other through the waters.
On the boats,
And say hello.
yeah.
But no, we're getting ready to go this Saturday, and I've had such a busy week, so I am looking forward to it.
Good,
So,
good.
yeah.
Well, go enjoy the beach.
Thank you.
You're not confronting
Thank
our
you.
band.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
having fun. And we'll have you on the show.
Absolutely. Can I get you guys breakfast? Do you want me to serve you breakfast?
No, that's all right. We'll leave when we're done.
Get money on
No. I'm gonna have the Effie's egg.
Are you? Okay.
All right. Well, I need to get breakfast.
So I do see our acting town manager standing there. So let's see if we can grab Rick and and I see my son and his girlfriend here too, and I promised them breakfast. So
How are you guys doing?
You're fine with. I just got me. How are you, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
So I'm gonna pick on you. I'm coming right after you, man. You're in the hot seat.
All right. Let it rip.
You and I had an argument at the parade, Memorial Day. You did not think the mayor was going to do it. I did. And damn it,
I lost that bet.
She had won. But I thought you were right because I was like, oh, Jesus.
If she had high heels on, I was like, no way. She's going to get hurt.
Now we
is
have
it an
this.
insurance issue?
I was
If the mayor gets
risk
hurt, I don't
management.
know.
You know, that's my former
I'd be
hat. I
more
was
worried
worried
about the road.
about breaking an ankle.
So she actually told us earlier that she wore the exact right height to the plan so she could do the part.
And she did 5 or 6 of
She did a
them.
bunch of them.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think
So I
she
couldn't have
did
been
more,
any more wrong.
So
I owe you
it's okay.
breakfast.
When you're not acting anymore, assuming it goes that way, then you have to get it right.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right. I appreciate that leeway, John.
All right. So let's. I'm not gonna tell the story because I've told a few times, but let's talk about the budget. This is your first time we're looking to see the budget. It's a phenomenal presentation.
Thank you.
I told somebody one of your
You did. Yeah. It was actually Ronnie, I think.
Tell us about the budget process. Did you enjoy it? Did you like the process?
Very much enjoyed it. I've been through many. Obviously, I've worked for the town for 21 years, and in my prior role as the executive director of HR for both the town and the schools, I had, very much a lot of involvement in both of those budgets. This was the first time that I was obviously responsible for the whole thing. And this year came with some challenges because of revaluation. So at the end of the day, we ended up lowering our mill rate from 42.42 to 40.68. Which was good. That's good news. Obviously, everyone wants to see that mill rate come down as much as possible. The issue was with revaluation, we saw a shift in the value of properties from higher, more affluent parts of town to more moderate income parts of town. And those areas of town where you have opportunities to be a first-time homeowner, those values went up quite significantly.
Yeah.
They went up 30, 35, 40% in some cases. So even with the mill rate coming down, we are seeing a shift in those folks, the amount that they're going to have to pay in property taxes each year. They'll see an increase. We did phase it in. We did phase that increase in over 2 years. So we'll do 75% of that increased value in year 1 and 25% in year 2. Good news with the governor's budget is the motor vehicle rate has dropped. So our rate will go from 42.42 down to 32.46.
That's a big drop.
All those
That's a big
decimals,
drop.
but-
So let me push back on you a little
Sure.
bit. I'm a first time homeowner. I'm struggling. I make $65,000 a year. My wife makes first time we did for
He's pretending. He's not.
$250,000. Yeah, I'm giving you a hypothetical.
I saw his car at Memorial Day Parade.
Are you able? Can you go back a year or two from now if the burden becomes too great for the lower income earners who are homeowners? Can you revisit that a year or two from now?
We can. So it is a 2-year phase-in. So what we will do, as I said, 75% this year, and then we can absolutely take another look at this next year. I mean, we could actually do another revaluation. That's very difficult to do, but the council has mentioned that it's a possibility. If we do see further shifting, it's something, by state statute, you have to do it every 5 years. But as an option, we could choose to do it on our own off that 5-year cycle. So that's something we're doing.
Is the data telling you these housing values are continuing to rise, or have they plateaued?
Shockingly, they are continuing to rise. Yeah. So since the reval date, which was October of 21, we've seen about a 1.5% increase in these values. I don't have April's data yet, but right through March, we saw that increase
We
continue.
wouldn't want to do that now from the perspective of
Right, exactly.
Right,
Still
right.
going in the wrong direction. Well, right direction. I mean, our homes are our greatest asset, correct?
Yep.
So love to see the value of your home increase, certainly. But obviously, our property tax system, we're going to pay our property taxes based on the value of that home. So,
But one thing people might, people need to know is that as the commercial development comes online, because there are a lot of projects that are in the works right now, that value will impact the grand list, the next grand list.
Absolutely.
So even though it's not a reval, the value still changes.
yeah. And there are, to your point, Ronnie, there are so many different projects going on around town.
Yeah.
We have Farmington Avenue. We have the potential Trout Brook. We have the potential LaSalle and Arapahoe. We have the Hubert Avenue and Puritan
And
Furniture.
this one right down to the street here.
We have One Park Road, and then we have UConn. So there's 6 projects right there that are absolutely going to have a tremendous impact on our grand list long term. So need to build them, need to get folks living there. So that we may not see as much of an impact in the next grand list,
Right,
but certainly the second one out, we'll see it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's an unideal situation. Housing shortage in town, which is great for our tax laws.
yeah.
But now, we're going to build. And I love, I love some of the creativity in town council, like this project over here. Over here.
One Park Road,
The
yeah.
old, right here, where they gave the developer, correct me if I misarticulate this, some tax incentive, knowing full well the residents are going to pay their full.
So before we get in trouble, because I've been writing about this project
Yep.
since, and I'm going to turn this on for a second. I've been writing about this project for years. There was one proposal. It was approved as a special development district by the town council many years ago. It was impossible for that developer to get the financing, so that deal ended up falling through. A new group of developers came in. They were also trying to get some historical tax credits that would have paved the way for them to get financing without asking the town for any kind of tax breaks. That didn't materialize, and that's a decision that's made at the federal level.
Right.
So it's been about 8 years since the project, or actually probably 9 years now since the project was first proposed. It was a piece of land that was sitting basically fallow, other than a couple dozen of the sisters who were still living there, who really needed to sell it for their own cash flow reasons. And that's what led to the town council making the very unusual decision of granting tax incentives to make this particular project affordable to developers.
And I think, and please, I asked the question, I make the comment from the approach. I felt it was a sensible thing to do. I know some didn't agree, but I thought it made sense. Because it's gonna spur development.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Ronnie's point.
No,
No, I just wanted to explain it because it was kind of a very unusual type of situation. It had to do with a specific piece of property.
But I think there are people out there, in my opinion, based on watching and being at these meetings, these council meetings, who clearly did not understand what was done because they were treating it as if the future owners were going to get sort of the homeowners. That's not at all the case. So, what are you looking for? We're asking a lot of our guests this question. What are some of the big ideas you have? What are you looking to accomplish in the next? Let's assume you become a permanent town manager. What are some of the big things you're looking forward to that you want to tackle?
Continuing the development that we're seeing around town. And I mean, this is a perfect example of what's happening on Park Road. I mean, we have the center, we have Lubeck Square. Everybody loves that area of town. But we have some exciting things happening at all areas of town. We want to continue to see that growth, smart growth. But growth throughout the town. So the transit-oriented development ordinance, there's a public hearing this evening at the council meeting. That's really going to be a transformational piece of legislation that will help us redevelop that corridor from New Britain Avenue coming down New Park Avenue to the Connecticut fast track stations, walkable, living, multi-use.
We're calling that the future Cantor Railroad Station. That's what I'll let you know. We're calling that the Cantor Railroad Station. So just want to let you know. So, and we've got Derek Slap on board. So that's the important thing. So.
John named it.
Yes. I coined the name.
Okay.
The Cantor.
Yeah.
The Mayor Sherry Cantor Railroad Station.
Yeah. So, and that TOD ordinance will absolutely help with the rail station as well.
Are there any businesses that have approached the town that are looking to build in that area that are kind of waiting in the wings for the TOD ordinance to be approved?
So we do have interest. I think what will spur that will be what will happen with the Puritan site. So to see that happen, and I understand that they're in the early stages of coming before the town, going before DRAC and things like that. So I'm not saying they're going to be before the council with an application in the next month or two, but things are moving very positively in the right direction. And we know that will bring even more excitement, more interest in that area of town as well.
Super. All right. Any more questions?
No, I'm
What does the Park Road Parade mean to you?
So
that's why we're here today.
It'll be my first time marching in the Park Road Parade, so I very much look forward to it. I've been sitting on the sidelines for many years, so to be part of that and part of the revitalization of Park Road and continuing to redevelop here. We have some good projects that are going to happen on Park Road as well. We have some money in our capital improvement plan for next year to do some sidewalk and some infrastructure changes along Park Road. So just excited, very excited to be part of it and see this grow.
We're excited to have you contributing the way you are to the town. Thank you very much for your service. And
thank you, John.
I'm personally rooting for many more years.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thanks, John.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Ronnie. Always.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you very much.
Good to see you both.
Whoops.
Sorry.
How did you run in? Jillian, come on, you're on the hot seat. Our next guest is here. Our next guest is here.
All right. So,
Jillian,
we want to welcome. Hello.
Sorry, Ronnie's doing the direction. You do it, Ronnie. So.
Hello.
Jillian, how are you?
I'm really good.
Well,
this is a fun day.
I got to start off. I'm sorry, but I got to start off. You got your page, and you get the post, and the crazies are out there. But you know what? I'm starting to think they might be right. We have proof of your daughter hanging out with me.
Yes, we
have
do.
Proof of it.
Yes, we do.
So they were right. All this time I was on the wrong side of the issue. So what are we going to do?
It must be one of those
So,
green things.
yes,
It's her favorite thing at Celebrate West Hartford. And she got one the last time Celebrate was around. Was it 2 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah.
When we went this year, she saw the aliens. It was the same, you have to hit the mallet
How many quarters do we call it? Dollars?
$5. It's a $5 area.
Oh, okay. I think you did well.
Yeah.
I think some people probably paid.
Yeah.
So anyway, but welcome to the show. How are you? It's always great to see you.
It's great to see you.
You are. I have decided to nickname you. You are a state treasurer. So I'm going to refer to you as state treasurer going forward.
Not treasurer, but
No,
treasurer.
treasurer. You know, she really is treasurer. You've done incredible things for the state. But the other thing is to put security on you, so when you jump out of a balloon, we're going to have 2 Secret Service agents on either side of you. In case something should go wrong with her.
Thank you. Thank you.
Treasurer, we need to make sure that
I'm safe.
All right, you've done a lot. I mean, my God, you've been so busy. Let's talk about. I hope I'm using the right word when I say money.
Yeah.
The right of a woman to choose. And boy, did you caught it. Talk to us about it.
Sure. So in the state of Connecticut, we've had a long legacy of being a pro-choice state. And so back in 1990, lawmakers did codify Roe v. Wade into state law. But a lot has changed since 1990. And so at the time, there wasn't a thing called, there wasn't medication abortion. So what we did this year is we actually codified an attorney general ruling that said that advanced practitioners could provide medication abortion. And then we went a step further and are now allowing advanced practitioners to also perform aspiration abortion, which 17 other states do and is within their scope of practice. And so what this does is it expands access to abortion care here in the state.
I hope I'm not stepping on into it after this question. Did you? What is aspiration?
Sure. Both aspiration abortion and medication abortion take place in the first trimester. And so the aspiration is otherwise sometimes called vacuum. So it is, yeah.
I was afraid of that. I almost didn't want to ask the question.
It's totally
so,
fine.
Okay.
We're trying to get to a place where we can have more open conversations about abortion care because it is part of healthcare. And I think a big piece of the issue over the years has been it is so stigmatized and people have been afraid to speak about it. But it is one of the safest procedures, and 1 in 4 women get an abortion in this country. And so the more we can talk about it, so I appreciate the question, the better we'll be.
And it's not always because it's an unwanted child. Sometimes it's a medical issue that's the cause for it.
Yes.
Often, probably most often.
Yeah, and that's to me the biggest piece of why these restrictions are so unnecessary and dangerous and actually sexist, because there are so many reasons someone needs an abortion, and we can't regulate it based on all of those reasons. And so we need to get to a place in this country where we trust women, we trust individuals to make those decisions with their healthcare provider and not keep enacting all these various restrictions across the country.
It's just scary. I mean, I don't know. All right, so let's peel the onion back home. You watch certain congressional leaders, I'll use air quotes, and they get on and they make videos talking about how the abortion rights activists, if I can use that term, are pushing for. I mean, they're literally using the term post-birth abortion. I mean, so I'm sorry, makes me laugh. Mm-hmm. Or abortion. So I think people don't understand that Roe v. Wade. It's spelled out pretty clearly. Was it 18?
So Roe v. Wade doesn't spell out the weeks; it spells out viability. Okay. So when the fetus would survive as a baby outside of the womb. Okay. And so yes, it spells that out. And in our state,
when I say that, pro-choice, the pro-choice crowd, which you're a member of,
yes,
they don't object to that.
No. And in Connecticut, our abortion law is about first term.
I'm getting political again. I'm sorry.
And then
Ronnie yelled at me earlier in a note for getting too political.
And then later in a pregnancy in the state of Connecticut, an abortion can be performed to save in regards to the health or life of a woman. And so when we're hearing these extreme, ridiculous terms being used by the anti-choice community, like abortion until birth, what we're often talking about is actually what you were getting at before, Ronnie, like situations where a woman and her family really wanted that child. And it's often devastating that they have to have an abortion that late.
You've got to severely.
Right, you have a child that's born
Yeah.
and is, or that's growing inside you that's not
That has no
viable.
chance for any quality of life whatsoever.
And what's happening in these states where they have put in these restrictions is that women are being forced to keep a dead child inside of them until they give birth. I mean, that's just mentally and physically not right.
I can't even imagine. And mentally, physically, and I can't imagine the health risks to the woman in carrying.
Yes. Yes. And then when they say things like performing abortion at birth, which again is like that's called murder. Like you no, it's so insulting to a provider and the woman. Like they're not going to do that.
Yeah,
we should trust our healthcare provider.
If you're pregnant, you walked in at 7.5 months. They're gonna kick you out of their office and report you to the police.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the thing that's so devastating about this whole situation. So, all right, enough of that. And I'm sorry. Jillian, you're one of the guests that come on. I could sit here for 4 hours with you. We can sit here for 4 hours each. You've got so much going on.
But I need to serve.
You do. They're surviving without you, okay? Don't move.
I'm reliving my college days.
So, all right, talk about some of the other. We've got Tammy here. We're going to talk to her about. Hopefully, she's still here. Yeah, Tammy, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. You're next. So, you're next. You're next, Dexum. So, talk about some of the other. Let's look forward. What's on your wish list for this coming session? I know there's the one issue that I keep bringing to you about person dying.
Yes.
Aiden dying. I'm sorry. Talk to us about some of the issues that are really important.
So certainly, death with dignity, Aiden dying. Also, so I obviously do a lot on women and children's health, and so for a few years now, we've been trying to get the age of marriage to age 18 in the state of Connecticut.
What is it now?
So it is. You can get married at age 16, and you'd need parent permission, and you'd need a probate court judge.
About 8 years ago.
How many people actually get married before age 18?
So we have data. I don't know offhand, but an amount enough that it's.
And it's
wrong.
clearly a forced marriage due to a pregnancy.
Well, and what the research shows is oftentimes it's the parents who are actually behind forcing a child to get married, and so by having the parent signature needed, that doesn't help the situation. So the United Nations wants everyone to move to age 18. It's seen as tons. So we're now when this started this conversation in Connecticut, we would have been at the forefront. Now we need to get there. So most of the New England states, Massachusetts will be next, and so we're hoping we can do that.
And it seems like I'm gonna put. I use this as kind of a common sense one. We're pretty good at the concept.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. There's still this leftover.
We can talk about that. That's this doesn't sound.
I mean, this is kind of like okay, check.
So that
it's like checking a box, So.
So that's a big issue. And then I've been doing a lot of work on endometriosis, which is a disease that predominantly impacts women. And so looking to see what we could do potentially insurance-wide or Medicaid-wide wise to support folks who have that disease here in the state.
And for somebody who may not know, can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, so endometriosis predominantly impacts women, but it impacts 1 in 10 individuals with a uterus. Although it's not a gynecological issue. It's kind of like a cancer in that it spreads in your body and can attach to different body parts once a month. Very painful, very painful. And often women are being told, like, that's just what happens when you get your period, kind of suck it up, take some medicine. But long term, 50% of infertility can be linked to endometriosis. So we really should be attacking it on the front end to both help with that issue, but also just women's mental health, physical health again, and giving them the support they need. 1 in 10 women. I mean, that's quite a bit.
And it often takes a very long time to get diagnosed.
10 years on average to get diagnosed, which is absurd in the year 2022.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, you're running opposed, or do you have?
I
an
do have an
opponent?
opponent.
Who is your opponent? Or do you not want to mention?
I
names?
don't like mentioning names,
Okay, don't
but it
mention
is a Republican who will be challenging me.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. Roll up your sleeves.
Yeah, ready?
Don't make it at him. Jill, what does the Park Road Parade mean to you?
The Park Road Parade brings back so many memories of my kids when they were really little. It's just a special parade. You know, it's in October when it's so beautiful. And
We've been calling it a parade for the sake of a parade.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
It's
just
like
everyone
Seinfeld, the
comes
show
out.
for the sake of the
Right,
show.
yes,
So,
it is a parade for the
it's a
sake of a
Seinfeld
parade.
parade.
Yes.
So,
And when you're a young mom looking for fun things to do, it was always just such a treat that there was a parade.
I just like the big fruit candy.
Same.
they don't allow that now, though. That's against the law. I found out I heard the Memorial Day parade. People were reprimanded for
were
throwing
they?
candy.
Not
Yes.
a Memorial Day parade, but the Park Road parade, you tend to see
A little more candy.
Oh, okay. So we break the rules around Park Road. Dang it.
And lawnmower brigades.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, the little cars.
That's the other. I brought my dog last time. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, it's really nice. So, and that's why we're all here. We're at Effie's Diner, and we're going for another 20 minutes or so. Come on down, pay $20. It goes to charity, which helps fund this fabulous parade. Jillian, thank you.
Thank you.
You're amazing. You are truly a treasure to our state. You really mean that. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you both.
We're going to get you on here. You guys are
Okay, sounds good.
We're going to really grill you next
All
time.
right, back
We're
to
going to talk
serve.
about more aliens.
All right.
Hey, send Tammy over, would you? So, anyway, I love having her on because she's such a great interview. She's fun and she laughs. And she's probably the most misunderstood state rep, which is really heartbreaking because she works for asshole. She's had death threats. She's had, I mean, and she does common sense stuff. I mean, she doesn't. I don't know.
I stay nonpartisan.
I tend to be very
I
protective
like
of
all the people.
I know. And the Republican candidates here will put that on too. So.
We've had some really great conversations with people this morning, and I do see Tammy Exum kind of making her way over this way, so we're gonna grab her and have her join us also.
Hello,
Hi.
Tim. How are you?
Oh, I am
Welcome to Effie.
We should reiterate that Tammy's wearing this beautiful green dress, but
She's so
everybody's wearing
stylish.
the Effie's celebrity server aprons, which is why it looks like we have
Sure,
a bunch of
we
people
can
wearing
show. We can
overalls.
show.
Here we
We
are.
can show. There we go. It's
Very
it's
cool.
like a 2-second delay here when I do things. It's like a little delay, so I got to be careful how I do it. There we go. Okay. So Tammy, how are you?
I am well. This is fun.
I'm going to get serious and I'm going to get right into it with you because we've been touching on it. We touched on it with Claire Nazarella. Tell us about your mental health, though. I'm saying you, and I know it was a collaborative. Tell us about that. Tell us to impact our school system because with everything that's going on right now, it's scary. We'll talk about that.
So I'm glad we're talking about this. I've been talking about this for a long time, and it is collaborative. I do have to always stress it's a bipartisan bill that passed both chambers unanimously. So it really speaks to the need and the impact and how it crosses all demographics. So looking at the schools in particular, we do have this 2-year funding, right? That's the Arpa Funds, and we are going to use that funding for grants for the schools. And the way this will work is that schools will be able to determine what types of programs and services they'd like to use, and they can apply for the grant. And then they also have a separate grant that will allow for them to choose a specialist that they need. So say certain schools might need trauma specialists. Certain ones may say, hey, we want more social workers. We don't want to determine what schools need because we don't know that, right? So, but they know what they need. And then there's a really critical piece around data collection. The data collection is going to be a requirement because what our hope is, in 2 years' time when this money is gone, that we are able to show that the money was utilized and that it's been beneficial, that we can look for a way to build it long-term into our budget. So we're looking at the needs all the way around, and then all of these other programs and services that are built to this bill are also supportive of students as well. So when you're talking about, extending our emergency mobile psychiatric services, so it's 24/7, so that when someone is in distress, you call 211, you know someone can come out into that home, into that school, and they support the schools as well.
And so with student needs, because oftentimes schools are one of the many entry points. So that is to answer specifically about the school piece, but we looked at all the entry points for young people where your pediatricians, so if you go into the pediatrician's office, they're not trained for mental health issues. So they need support on how to deal best with that and how to make some of the collaborative care model where you have social workers or some kind of coordinator who can in fact help to get care. And then you also would have pediatricians kind of structured in a way so that they can get and determine with someone who's a psychiatrist what would be needed if someone has an urgent need. And they can have up to 3 telehealth visits in order to do that. One last thing I'll mention is, I mean, it's a huge bill, but we also recognize it's a workforce issue. We just don't have enough social workers and mental health professionals. So we're having to figure out ways to grow that, and also looking at compacts with other states, reciprocity with other states, and telehealth with others.
My wife, as you know, is a social worker. Okay, and one of the challenges she runs into is with insurance. She can't treat people from out of state. So if a college student is here, she's getting into the treatment with the insurance company. The other thing is insurance companies, they don't pay. So are we getting people into the social work community? I don't know if the users are there. I mean, a lot of social workers are like to go private only. I think they do it an hour, or also we're in a wealth community. We can afford it. Right. Is there a insurance or some point where you need insurance to make it a little easier to do because it's cost lines?
We're doing a study around that, so we can really see, because that's what we've heard over and over again. There are a lot of issues around insurance. One of them, not only the things that you mentioned, where are absolutely valid, and we want to do a study to kind of see what is parity and how do we work with this, because we treat mental health and physical health as though they're different. It's one body, right? Just because we can't really see the emotions and see all of this doesn't mean that they should be separated. So we're looking into that more, but we're also looking at ways to, I lost my train of thought there. Wait a minute. Insurance. And we're also looking at, we're looking at the grant piece too around certain insurance benefits, because we found that there are certain programs, this is an interesting thing that I didn't know. So there are certain programs, going back to students for a second, that, or children, that are available to individuals who have Husky. But if you have private or commercial insurance, you are not eligible to receive certain services. So that's another way that insurance is deciding who can get care, who can't get care. So we're looking at not only doing grant funding around that, but doing studies around the parity piece, and to figure out how can we make some changes with the insurance company so that they can have a higher reimbursement rate, and so that they can cover more services. We're looking at also having like wellness checks, even through insurance companies, having that covered. We do it for the physical body, but you should not have to have a diagnosis in order to say, hey, I'm having some of these different issues. Can I talk to someone about that and have it covered by insurance, but not have it necessarily as something that's diagnosable at this point. So we're looking at different ways, looking at insurance holistically, but that is an area that we've heard about time and time again that's being addressed.
And when we kind of fall off the fiscal cliff, or we hope it's not a cliff, of losing some of the federal Arpa funds, what's going to pay for this? Is there a
that's what we're looking at. I mean, we're going to have to. I mean, we're in a good place right now, right? But we're going to have to build the case through the data. So the oversight committee and the data piece is going to be essential. We have to be able to prove, A, that people are utilizing this because it's so important, but B, that if it is so important, how do we do this for the long haul? And we have to prioritize as a state. I mean, we got to the place where we are today because we weren't looking at this holistically. And I think that, the crisis came with COVID, but it was exacerbated through COVID, but it's been here. So we have to decide what our priorities are. We know where we spend our money is where our values are, right? So we have to align that. And I think that building a case for it over 2 years will hopefully give us that opportunity to build it into our budget long term. Yeah.
Super. What does let's transit? That's a big
That's a
topic.
heavy
I
topic.
mean, it is.
And
It
I'm
is a
sorry
heavy
if I'm just, I'm hearing.
No, I just can't help but think about the Senate now. They are, in my opinion, taking a baby step with respect to gun regulation. Our Senate. It's a step. I definitely see some behind here too. Like, we're talking about red flag laws.
Yes.
Your legislation can help. She,
Yes.
being somebody who can be a threat,
Yes.
concern, help, however we phrase it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And one thing I'll say about that, I'm so happy Connecticut is on the forefront of this. And this legislation has been called historic, transformative, and it is and should be, because we looked at, the beds issue that we kept hearing about, like we don't have enough beds, the kids are in hallways and all that. I saw that. I know it's absolutely true. And then we thought of intervention and prevention as our model. But as far as another piece of what we did was the stigma around mental health. Forever it's been so stigmatized. By talking about it, by having people, the amount of stories I've heard from all demographics, for us to normalize it so that when we do see something, we can say, hey, this person is appearing this way. And it makes it a bit easier around the red flag piece. It makes it something that people can feel comfortable standing up and saying, I am noticing something, and we can talk about mental health and flag honestly what we might see under individuals having issues. So
My
I don't
son,
know what that was.
my son, that was my son.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Sam. Yeah. I'm like, what? I thought it was a note, so I started to read it. So there's Sam. Sam, give away. Oh.
So my son and his girlfriend are eating breakfast, and I told them I would pay for it.
So Sam came up and gave the bill to Ronnie to pay for it. And let me just say this, Sam and my Kyle were in kindergarten together, and I probably haven't seen him many times since. I mean, really, they were buddies in kindergarten.
So, say hello to
Sam
some
and
folks
Kate on
here.
TV here. No,
So
you're
here,
actually not
we'll
on
get
camera.
you. No,
right now.
we're putting on your camera. There we go. There's Sam and Kate just ran away. There we go. So there we go. So moving to Boston, right? You guys are moving to Boston? Well, good luck with that. You got a new job. You're going to find a job. It's too bad that there's no nursing jobs in Boston. Not a single one. Right?
Yeah, good luck on that.
So I think you're going to do one fine. So. Oh my Lord.
Wow,
So,
that's been a long
Tammy,
time.
what does
Hi. I was saying it's good to see you. I said I remember you were in kindergarten with Kyle.
Yeah.
live TV, folks?
Okay.
So, no, that's okay. No. Tell the audience. This is what happens on live TV. We have, we're doing a fundraiser. We're having fun. It's like, okay, so it's a side conversation. So anyway.
I got your bill. Have a safe trip to go check out your new apartment.
Good luck. Yes.
Good luck. Boston's tough, Good luck.
They have a place. They have a place to live.
Oh, you do?
They're going to go check it out.
What town is it? Okay, good. Well, good luck.
That's awesome.
Have
Have fun. Good to see you.
Tammy, what
Funny
does
how they grow up, isn't it?
They grow up so fast.
It
Oh my
happens
goodness.
quick. So. Yeah, Sam walked over. It didn't click. Is he writing me a note? Like, he asked me to be on there. I was like, oh, come on.
Smart.
Mom gets stuck to the bill. So, anyway, so Tammy, what does Park Road Parade mean to you?
Oh my gosh, I love that it's an organic parade of the community. It's one that is just a lot of fun, and I love that it just supports Park Road and in this neighborhood. And I have my kids all went to Whiting Lane for the majority of their education, so it just feels like coming home for me. Love this parade.
We have a long history. My kids went to Whiting Lane.
That's right.
Me and Kyle go way back.
Yeah, they go way back.
We have a long history.
But Kyle went to Webster Hall first, which is how he knew
In
Sam.
kindergarten,
They
that's
kindergarten
right.
Together with the weatherman's son.
That's
right. There was the three of them, the three musketeers there in Miss Adele's class.
Oh yes. Oh.
Not this weatherman, another weatherman.
Justin Pieper used to be the weatherman on
Fox, yeah,
That's
it's Channel 5.
right. Oh
It's
my
got my New York
goodness.
upbringing.
I think it might have been Channel 5 back then. I think it was on our station was Channel 5.
Right. He
Yeah,
was
Stanford
there.
was there. Stanford Greenwich
No, but I
Channel
think
5.
even here it was Channel 5
Oh,
back
was?
then. And he lived diagonally behind us, and his son
His name also started with a J. Jacob.
Ronnie has
has a
this
great memory.
She knows everybody. She remembers names. I don't know anybody, and I remember no names. I'm so bad.
Are you a face person? I'm a face
No
person.
idea who this person is sitting next to me, but we're all going to find out in a minute when she
I
comes
know
down
her
the
because
aisle.
guess what?
So,
She
yes.
was also at
Oh,
Whiting
another
Lane.
Whiting Lane mom. Yes, another Whiting
yes,
Lane mom.
yes.
So,
We spent a lot of time
anyway.
together.
Timmy, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
And well, actually, before we lose you, are you doing anything with Juneteenth?
Yes.
I'm
I'm so glad.
ask you about
A couple things about
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth. So Juneteenth is now a state holiday in the
is
state of
awesome.
Connecticut, which is awesome.
I need to get out.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right.
I
But
think-
I want to see. I'm going to look for you out there.
Okay.
And so so West Hartford, this is now going to be the third year that it's recognized and really celebrated here. I will be a part of the celebration on Sunday. I'll be speaking, but also on Friday there is something through the Amistad. And originally they did so many of the Juneteenth celebrations in the state of Connecticut at the Wadsworth Athenaeum, and I will be a part of an honorary piece there. So I'm just really excited and so glad to see that it's been taken to this level at the state level.
And I will
and
confess, 10 years ago, I'm proud of it. I had no idea what it was. And
you
now
know what?
it's,
You're not alone in a lot of people not knowing what it is. And I think
I
that's
didn't know what it was either.
Yeah.
Really, I really didn't know much about it at all until West Hartford had their first celebration, and it's so meaningful that it has been so educational.
Absolutely, and it started. It started when in the 80s. I think was the first. Texas was the first state to declare it, but of course everything happened in Texas that really declared that first Juneteenth. But I sure think that this is an important part of our history, and it continues to tell us all the things that we don't know and how much more learning we can do. So I'm looking forward to it. It's supposed to be a nice weekend.
thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for all your effort. Thank you for everything, Tammy. We'll see you soon. And now, Patty, Sheehan, Albie.
Guest of the day.
Unless we get Adrian.
Okay.
We got to get Adrian because we got to talk about pride. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ron. Yeah. I do want to get Adrian because of pride. We got to get her.
Right. And we're
Patty Sheehan, Albie. Patty is the Grand Marshal Emeritus of the Park Road Parade, which is why we are all. We'll start with the question. We end with everybody else. What does the parade mean?
Community. I think coming together, doing it all. It was I remember the very first one. I was here for it. And just that sense of community and pride of getting everything done and celebrating that. And the fact that it's still continuing this many years later, I absolutely love it.
Well, we're happy to have you. And then neighbors and friends, you are also the
founder
and beekeeper of Neighbors and Friends. How is that? It seems like things have settled down.
We get a good week or two, and then something comes back up. There's always something. 22,000 people trying to agree on anything is impossible. And there are a lot of things right now that are impacting, West Hartford, Connecticut, the world, etc. So it is a place to kind of talk it through. And for the most part, it does stay neighborly and friendly. These are people we see in the streets, in the restaurants, in school.
And sometimes people unfortunately, we've got to remind people of that because, somebody you're yelling at online might be somebody you see at a shop.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we've yelled at each other on the phone, but never online.
But it's a way to get information out there that wasn't available originally. So it is nice.
Hi, are you running? Yeah, we're on Facebook Live here, though. I am
But
running.
that is funny. So we are live. This is live TV, and that's what makes it fun. So,
I think people just think we're looking at the computer.
Yeah. We're working. Got our little
You need a bigger
mobile
sign.
offices there.
Yeah, well, we don't have
So.
we don't have microphones or anything like that. I'm hoping the sound quality has been good enough for people to understand.
So Patty, I know you don't get into politics very much. You did a good job. What are some issues you're following that are important to you?
Well, we kind of see a lot of different ones, and they ebb and flow. Right now, obviously, pedestrian safety is high, traffic and things like that. As school is letting out for the summer, there'll be that many more people on the roads. And I think we kind of had a lull for the last few years. But now that people are going back to work into the office full time, there's more traffic out there and things like that. So that's always a top concern. Like the start of any summer, which has been notorious since we started. Theft, break-ins, things like that are happening. It's nothing new. It's been happening
for 50 years. It's just now we're seeing instant notification about it.
Well, there's certainly been a lot of bear sightings.
Yes, there have.
We had,
They seem to be a
that
lot this
weekend,
year.
a couple weeks ago.
Well, Fred, just for it,
Yeah.
there's so many. So yeah, this year it seems to be there a little more active than I remember them being.
So yeah, so I think we get it all on the snake sightings.
Yep.
And then of course Ronnie is the wonderful person for the side. I tried to the weather. The weather's wonderful so cool. I can't remember the last time I put the weather report.
Yeah,
Don't jinx that.
We have no
No,
nor'easters,
don't jinx
no
it.
hurricanes yet. It's been
After
quiet.
Saturday.
So yeah, exactly. So
But yeah, no, it definitely, things come and go with what's important at the time. You know, obviously in the winter, it's things like cleaning the roads off, sidewalks, whether or not there's school. In the summer, turns to theft, accidents,
Yep.
safety,
Yep.
etc.
and bear sightings.
Yeah,
So-
and bear sightings.
So
the splash pads, I know Beachland is fixed now, right?
It was closed again yesterday.
Oh, no.
So they were waiting for a part, I believe. So it was reopened. We posted that, and then somebody's like, "It's not working again," but she called. So it happens, you know. Nothing, you know, unless you're going to rebuild everything every year, things are going to break.
couple personal notes. Your husband celebrated a birthday this past
We
week.
did.
Happy birthday. And do you have any trips to Disney? I know you have a trip to Disney planned, but when is the next trip to Disney planned?
50 hours.
Oh, you're leaving? Oh, that's why Saturday. That's why you mentioned Saturday.
Yes.
So you're going for the week?
Yep, we're going for a week.
You going alone or
No,
bringing the
we're
kids?
actually bringing the children, all of them, and
my
the whole
gosh.
other family is coming with them.
That's awesome.
The kids have never been.
Do you do the Disney?
Wow, you're introducing kids.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's gonna be a fun
I've
one.
got a lifelong dear friend of mine who bought through Disney Vacations. He buys tokens or whatever they are. And you own, DVC, you own them for life. It's 259, 75 years or something. Or 50 years.
It's point. Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
yeah. I can't
Do you
remember.
have-
50
do
years.
you-
We do.
So you have
We finally broke
DVC.
down.
So is that what you do? You go down and you use the DVC. Which hotel do you stay at?
A variety. This time around, we're staying at Saratoga Springs, which is one of the bigger ones. We've done Wilderness Lodge, Copper Creek, which is our home resort. Sometimes we do, the All-Star, the Values, because we love the whole Disney experience in those.
Right.
Where when you get
Well,
to
you
the higher
can walk
ends, it's
directly
not
into the
much.
park from some of these hotels.
Bay Lake House,
Right.
Contemporary, you can.
And then what's the one you can walk into Epcot? There's one you can walk
There's
into
a few.
Epcot.
There's Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club.
Yeah.
Are all behind Epcot.
Okay.
So each one of them has their own little unique.
It's really
flavor for
incredible.
whatever you
So,
want.
and you get it an hour early,
Yes.
which is incredible.
For some of them, yes.
So I'm giving a little pitch for Disney. I didn't know about any of this, and I recently we had a guys, kind of a college reunion weekend down there. We get a place in Florida, and one of them is a DVC.
Yep,
right?
DVC.
I was like, I never thought I could find that appealing, but it's really, really appealing. And
It's nice.
Your kids, it's
Yeah,
phenomenal.
my kids love it, and we made sure the contracts we bought 4 of them with equal value,
Okay.
so we can pass them along
Yeah.
to them, and they can
And
do
you can
what
also,
they-
if ever, you can resell them.
Yes.
And they go up in value.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
which is
But it's
incredible.
definitely, if it's something you like, and I think a lot of these hotel chains and things like that have them. If it's something you're going to do regularly, if you look at the cost, it's a little more upfront, but it's done for the next, I think it's like 40 or 50 years.
Right, yeah, I think kids are 50.
I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly what it is, but it's done.
So if you have children or you're a child at heart like Patty is, this is a good value for you.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. I learned so much.
I
So
think, everything is out there. If you kind of look around and,
Yeah.
scope it out, there are definitely ways to make it work for you.
well, enjoy your trip. Have a great time. You still ride the roller coaster?
I do not ride the roller
You know,
coaster.
everybody can walk around and-
You know what? I really enjoy people watching. I love, talking to random people there.
Yep.
I've met cast members a few years ago that now every time I go down, I visit with her. And,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
so I do not do any of the roller coasters.
Okay. The kids do
The
that.
kids all do.
How do
They
your
love
husband?
it. No, he does not.
Okay.
You hit that certain age and you know better.
You know my problem with it. I love roller coasters, but my back. I'm afraid of my back.
Yeah, it's the
injuring my back.
window.
It's
I
so.
can't go upside down.
So we go on this trip. There's 4 of us for part of it. We go on this trip to Florida. 4 guys who've known each other for 40 years. We're talking about medical issues. All of them. This is what happens when you're getting close to 60. You talk about medical issues.
I think after 40, you start to kind of your shift and changes about what you view as important information.
It's crazy. But yeah, one EBC member really woke me up to.
There's so many options out there.
Yeah, what a phenomenal part. You go off season, you get it early, you stay late.
Yeah, there's different things you can do. You get a percentage off of certain things, and you just kind of do your thing, you know. So we like it, we enjoy it. You know, we have a couple trips planned. Do it, you know. So it's nice.
So, Patty, thank you. It
No
was
problem.
great talking with you.
No problem.
You
Enjoy.
do so much for the community. I think if there should ever be a repeat Grand Marshal, you would be that person.
My kids would kill me.
Thank you so much, Patty.
Yeah.
It's always good to see you.
Hey, Patty, you see Adrian? Adrian. We've got, I think, our last.
Yeah, so we're actually
our
at
last
10
guest
o'clock.
of the day.
We're
Last guest of the day. I got to leave the airport in an hour. Adrian Billings Smith, Ace, as we know you. We're going to ask you 2 questions. Keep it real concise. So it is waffle. Number 1, talk to us about Pride. What's happening? Give us the schedule.
And Juneteenth's first.
I'm going to get to Juneteenth. That's 2 questions, but I wanted to do Pride because we just talked about Juneteenth with Tim. So can we talk about Pride?
Pride. Barry. Pride.
We'll get Barry over here too. Barry, get over here. Walter, get over here.
We have a fun-filled month for Pride. We know that June 25th is not this weekend. This is Juneteenth weekend. Next weekend we'll be doing Pride. Barry Walters, who's going to come in and he's going to give you a couple of details of who's performing.
Barry, grab a seat, Barry. How are you?
I'm well. Barry's going to take
Good to see you.
This is perfect.
Yeah. All right. There you go. All right, you're going to hear Ronnie me, but you're going to see the 2 important people.
All right. Talk
So
about Pride.
we just talked about Juneteenth. We're going to come back to it. So we hit Pride first with
so what's going on?
Adrian.
What's going on with Pride? There's so much going on with Pride.
You should move this closer because there's a lot of you're talk to the computer.
Okay, I'll talk to the computer. No, there's so much going on from let's see. We will start with tomorrow night.
By the way, we didn't introduce you. I'm so sorry. This is Barry Walters, and Barry, you're the person really behind organizing Pride to begin with.
Well, I found Pride a few years ago, and since then
I'm right here.
We have John Schubert, who is my co-chair, so the 2 of us. And then we have a few other people that are helping out as well.
My apologies to the audience, and Barry, I apologize to you.
Well, he wore the perfect shirt for it. So
you got that.
Yes, I know.
Let's make sure.
Our brand new shirts, which we'll be pulling out for the Pride Festival.
Awesome. So anyway, sorry, tell us about Pride. What's happening?
Well,
It's very exciting.
we have multiple events that have been happening all month long, and they will continue. Tomorrow night, we are going to be out at Dylan Stadium in Hartford. It's the official Pride night, but we are making it our official Pride night. And that, I think, is 6 o'clock is when the gates open. And then Friday night, we have a comedy show with 6 LGBTQ plus comics coming in. And that's brewery. And it is a ticket. Tickets are available. You can go to our Facebook page at Pride Week. And then, let's see, the 22nd, we have a couple things happening on the 22nd. One is a children's art celebration, which will be on display at the Northwestern Library. And also on the 22nd, we partnered up with to have a fun run / fun walk. There'll be a 1 3-mile course. And a new business in town, Nothing But Cakes, which is opening up in Corporate Corner, is going to be bringing us little cakes afterwards.
I hear those are absolutely delicious.
Yummy.
Yes.
They handed them out after the run, the Celebrate West Hartford 5K.
And they were gone like that.
They were.
I'll be there for the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Make extra, please.
Okay, we'll have Tracy work on that. And then the 25th is where it's all at. Lubeck Square will be the, I guess, the third annual, second annual in-person Pride Festival. We'll start at 11:30 on the steps of Town Hall with an out loud rally, and we'll move down to the festival, which starts at noon. We have a great lineup of entertainers, which includes Sister Funk, the Connecticut Cadence Chorus, as well as the Hartford Cadence Chorus. And a number of other artists. Our headliner is actually a woman from Canada named Shauna Kish, who is just phenomenal. Great, amazing voice, and just a record deal, and got signed on by New York Pride as well. So I think she's on the verge of going big, and we have literally dozens. We actually have, I think, 54 or so vendors, sponsors, and then vendors, all kinds of vendors, from fashion to food to windows to everything. It's going to be a really great time, and that runs from 12 to 6. And like last year, our event will end with the games on the square. So we can all get down there and dance and have a good time and celebrate.
So come on up, and it's just going to have a lot of fun. That's my takeaway. This sounds like a great event.
It's going to be fantastic.
Well, the Pride Festival last year, we were there covering it for most of the time, and it was awesome. It was so energetic and vibrant.
We actually won the Arpa Readers Ball for the best festival.
Nice.
And so that was a really
Going for a repeat.
We're going for a repeat. Yes, absolutely. So Juneteenth.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about talk about this.
Adrian's the organizer.
Built the building.
Well, I will never claim to have built anything. This was already here. It's a part of American history, but Juneteenth is important not only to the folks that founded it in Texas, but across this nation. Like I was, talking to Ronnie about last night. People need to know, our children, our grandchildren, we as adults don't even know pieces of our American history that are just so important. So the celebration is about joy. It's been successful since its beginning, and we have a lot of fun. We'll have speakers, vendors. We're taking Pride's, platform and making it, our own, in our own ways, and making sure we're celebrating Black artists and Black vendors and folks that are a part of our community that normally aren't seen. So to be out here and do it again for the third year in a row at Lubeck Square, and we continue to build on it. This year at 10 a.m. we have a church service with Reverend Fred Ward as a guest speaker. Fred Ward is our guest pastor in the morning at the First Church on the corner of Farmington and Main. We move over to Glenwell Haynes, which Wasco has been working on, making sure that they have a dedication marker. Then go to the installation presentation by the Witness Stones Project and Dr. Tracy Wilson. No, it'll be at Lubeck Square also. So you'll see everything in full effect at Lubeck Square. They'll be actually leaving the stones there so people can see what's actually going on with the project, so they can talk to them. And then we will talk about Dinah Road, which will have the official renaming in August, but was voted on by town council, but we have the sign. So 30 we'll start rocking with great speakers, Representative Tammy Exum, Representative Stephanie Thomas, who is a candidate for Secretary of State, and our headliner for the event is Nikita Waller, who is a Connecticut State Troubadour. And we'll have local artists and our West Hartford Public School speakers We have an 8th grader who sang last year and brought the house down. Kayla Rosinski, she'll be doing the Black National Anthem for us. And then our student speaker will be Tatiana Detil, who is a Connor Jr.
Or will be a rising senior.
Rising senior.
Rising senior. Yes.
School's almost over, so she'll be a rising senior come Sunday.
So, well, I thank Adrian for talking to me late last night, and we have a story on weha.com that'll be in our newsletter on Wednesday, also with a list of all the activities for Juneteenth on this Sunday, June.
And don't forget to order from the Russell.
Yeah,
from the Russell.
we love it. We had dinner with our spouses at the Russell maybe a month or so ago. We had I love it. We've been there 3 or 4 times.
We have a whole Juneteenth menu. You have until tomorrow to order. He's been so gracious, and you'll be able to pick your food up Blueback Square day of. So we can have like a little picnic together. So thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do. I mean, it's incredible, both of you. I mean, really, these 2 events. You guys are the movers and shakers when it comes to this event. Thank you for that. So,
thank
really.
you.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. I think we're going to need to sign off now because John has to catch a flight, and I need to eat something, and I need my coffee refilled again.
No, this was so much fun. We didn't get Tracy. I didn't see Tracy. Did you see Tracy?
Tracy Plater? Yeah. She did well. I think she's eating outside. She's here.
Okay.
She's here,
Okay.
definitely.
I do feel bad that we didn't talk to her, but I'll get her
So
next year.
well, Tracy Plater and Johnny Panderas, who's the owner of
Yeah,
Effie's Place, are the 2 chairs of, or I guess co-chairs of the Park Road Association, Park Road Business Association. No, it's Park Road Association. So it's businesses and a neighborhood association. And they're very instrumental in the Park Road Parade and everything to deal with Park Road.
They do. I mean, it's incredible. Everybody we talk to, everybody does so much for the community, and it's incredible what they do. Every single person seems like, and you too.
At Conard tonight, we have a team covering the Conard graduation and a team covering the Hall graduation. So we'll have those stories up on weha.com tomorrow
Around
morning.
2 in the morning.
I
Should I look for
I
it?
hope before that. But
The good news is for me, it'll only be 11 o'clock at night. So, yeah. So no, I'm looking forward to seeing the story. And then we'll see you at
and everything else that happens between now and then.
And I think I also owe you a card.
John writes a card column for West Hartford Life that I also edit, and then
Ronnie,
it went by quickly. It
yeah,
really did.
time does fly. So anyway, Ronnie, thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching and laughing, hopefully. And thank you to all of our guests. We had a lot of them. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.